All all right, we be live. Hello, Durud and Shalom and Hola and Namaste. Hi, everyone.
Durud.
Good
Durud,
morning.
Durud. Okay.
Morning.
Good morning. Good
Morning.
morning. Good morning.
Oh, look at this. Leo has her coffee and everything out. That's
Aw.
great. Okay, guys, Monkey will be with us soon at some point. He's dealing with some local stuff. And Guy will probably be with us in maybe an hour into the show. So hopefully he'll get to join that. But right now you're stuck with the four of us. And Shauna is here. Shauna, welcome to our panels.
Woo!
Hi.
Hey,
Yay.
welcome, Shauna. This is fun.
Yes. And guys, soon Shauna, we will have your YouTube channel soon so that we could promote
Yeah,
your YouTube channel.
hopefully mid-September. Give ourselves a couple weeks to settle into the new place, and yeah, that's the goal.
Okay, fantastic. Can you tell people a little bit about yourself so people know who you are? And
I'm Northwest Chicopee on the thing. That might change. I'm Shauna. I'm from Seattle. I live a couple hours north right now. I'm moving back closer. That's what's going on with me. I'm in a big move. Born and raised in the Pacific Northwest. I've never really lived anywhere else. And I like geopolitics. I like fantasy and lore and genetics and history and all of that type of stuff. Heritage, big into genealogy, that type of stuff.
and you're a walking encyclopedia.
Well, according to Armin, there's
Yes.
a lot of stuff I don't know. I'm always really appreciative of the background knowledge that the other panelists have. So,
Okay. Yes. Usually, people who know a lot say that there's a lot of things I don't know, which is good.
Well, because it's true.
Yeah, because it's true. Because the more you know, the more you realize how much is out there.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Which is good. All right. Yeah. Somebody's saying, "Where's Monkey?" Monkey is dealing with some local stuff. He told us to tell you that he's dealing with that, and also asks you while he's away to support his channel. The link is in the description. By the way, support Elisa's channel as well, because her channel is growing really fast. She already has 126 subscribers after 1 day of starting her channel, which is amazing. But the link is in the description. And also, guys, check the links in the description for us to know. Tell us if they're not working, right? So the link is all of them in the description.
Guys,
and Sid and Shanna will have the channel. So
Armin, look, we got to get Monkey to 1K. He's 100 subs away from 1K.
Ooh, Monkey is less than 100 subs for reaching to. Okay, thank you, Leo, for telling us that. Yes, let's support him. Anyways, guys, we need to actually start. Go and sit. And
no, I'm just saying, I just saw there are people in the chat missing Monkey. So he's got to come back soon.
Yes. And okay. All right. So V for Vanquish, thank you so much for the super chat saying Javid Shah. And with that, that's a good way to start the show. We could get started. I just want to give everybody a 2-minute update of where we are. Alyssa, when you're shaking that, mute your microphone. Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let's get started and see where we are at so that we could get your opinions.
Good morning. For now, the strait is partially open, and President Trump has issued a new warning to the Iranian regime about keeping the Strait of Hormuz safe. The president posted to Truth Social yesterday about this waterway, what he calls a no-mine policy, saying, "I have just been informed by the United States Navy that all mines have been removed and or detonated from within the international waters of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has been notified that any ship or boat placing new mines will be immediately and systematically destroyed." He indicated that Space Force is watching every inch of the strait, as well as Iran's nuclear sites. Iranian officials continue to claim the strait is unsafe for vessels leaving the Persian Gulf. The discussion over this critical waterway comes as the United States continues to oversee millions of barrels of crude oil being exported from the Gulf each day through a southern passage. Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi met Tuesday with his Omani counterpart in Tehran as the two countries continue talks toward a parallel agreement about control of the strait. Araghchi then posted on X saying Iran's commitment to peace and stability is matched by steadfast diplomacy with our neighbors. In talks with Pakistani and Omani guests, regional solutions were stressed. Proposed framework for new corridor joint mine clearing and future management of Hormuz is case in point. Reports do indicate that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is telling allies the United States is leaning into economic measures against Iran following a new sanctions package that was announced earlier this week. Rubio reportedly indicated that strikes against Iran are not expected in the near future, though Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says the U.S. military readiness is high should the situation change. The bottom line here, the current status quo will focus on pressuring the Iranian economy to change their behavior, but ultimately we are in this cycle, Brian, with no end in sight. Good.
Okay, so first of all, Marco Rubio made it clear that they're not interested in escalation right now, right? And because this is working and they're comfortable with how things are going, and they're going to be here in a while, and they're not interested in military escalation. At least that's the message that they're giving to their allies. You know, maybe it's a 5D chess, maybe they're lying, but this is what we expected for them to say, that, you know, the United States is okay with just staying here for a while. Later, things might change. Another thing is that we have a lot of contradictory reports regarding the Strait of Hormuz is open or not, is all flowing or not. Some people are saying that it is millions of barrels of flowing. Some people are saying that actually what you observe is the number of ships is like 5 or lower. But again, those are the ships. People are saying, well, like, okay, but that's not a good way to judge it, because those are the ones that you can see because of the transponders are on. But oil is going through. Some people are saying, like, well, the people are reporting that they're not seeing the barrels of oil coming through. So Trump is lying and the Islamic Republic is the one who's being correct here. To me, again, I always go to the market. I know I'm a market-oriented person. So I look at the oil price and it's dropping. In the past 5 days, oil prices dropped by 2.7%. So to me, that's the ultimate fact, the ultimate thing that decides whether this is working or not. And I think based on just that alone, I think Trump is correct, and all is flowing. And, you know, the Islamic Republic has lost control of the Strait of Hormuz. Like right after all of these announcements, oil prices dropped. So I think it's working. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I mean, so that's the great thing about the market is the market figures out a way. You know, the market incentivizes solutions. So, you know, so we don't know exactly what the reason is for the drop. It could be that more oil is coming out of the Persian Gulf. It could be that that there are different sources coming online. It could be a combination of those things. But that's, you know, that's the reason why we have a market. So I don't know what I was a little distracted at how Trey Inks just pronounced, what was it?
Arachi.
Arkashi or something.
I think he said,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he said Agarchi.
Agarchi.
I forget. I'm so used to listening to you and Goldie and Tusi that when an American says these names, it's like, oh crap, like we butcher the frick out of it. It's so bad.
Yeah.
But
it was funny.
Sorry, so he must have said his name, you know, 1,000 times already. So it's kind of puzzling. But Arakshi's tweet was insane. It was just insane. Can you show it again, Armin?
Yes. Okay, that's a good point. Let's bring it here. There we go.
Commitment to peace and stability is matched by steadfast diplomacy with our neighbors.
That was so funny. I forgot to laugh. It's almost as funny as when he makes appeals of human rights and threatens to go and run and cry to the UN. Our human rights are being violated. Wow. That's crazy. That's rich coming from you.
Regional solutions were stressed. Proposed framework for new corridor, joint mine clearing. Okay, you know, that's a useful service. I don't know who put those mines there, but it's good that they're cooperating on clearing them.
I will say though that this is actually smart from like an American point of view, from a normie point of view, because he's talking to pardon me, the American like general feeling of like, he's talking about regional solutions, he's talking about diplomacy with the neighbors, he's catering to that kind of small town Americana sort of general mindset. And so I'm looking at it like as a normie, and I might be watching this And yes, we know all the hypocrisies, and we're like, this is all bullshit. We know what they're doing. We know what they think. We know this is all nonsense. But if you're just like a 50-year-old who doesn't know a lot about geopolitics and is just watching the news, this is actually really good marketing on his part, from my point of view. If I didn't know anything, I'd be like, oh, all they care about is they just want peace with their neighbors. They're just trying to do the best they can. He's like I said, talking about regionality, talking about neighborhoods, talking about their joint efforts. Like, those are all things that are going to appeal to the kind of standard Americana, just the way we think, our brains.
So Casey is saying he's talking to liberal morons. Is that what you're trying to say? Is that
that's no, I'm actually trying to say the opposite. I'm trying to say that he's speaking to like the 30 to 40% of Americans who watch Fox or watch CNN and try to be involved, but they, he's speaking to, I'm thinking of my boomer mom is what I'm thinking of. And she's a liberal moron, but I love her and she's good at what she's good at. But geopolitics, she doesn't care about geopolitics. She's not interested in history. She and I are very different in this way. She understands, like, if you were talking about, so this is just going to appeal to her who grew up in she grew up in Longview, Washington, and her dad was a dairy delivery man. Like, that kind of person, that's what it's going to appeal to, because she's like, well, they care about their neighbors. They are just trying to be peaceful, and we're going in and we're causing regional instability. That kind of person is just very susceptible to that sort of maneuvering. I'm not saying that it's not bullshit. Obviously, what he's doing is bullshit, and obviously my mother's very uninformed. I kind of wish she couldn't vote on certain issues. But the reality is she can. And the reality is that if I'm just watching Fox News or scrolling through YouTube clips like my mom does, I see regional solutions. I see these wordings. I'm going to be like, well, they're doing their best. Like, why do we have to sacrifice troops if they've already got this? It should be a region. You should be taking care of your neighbors, blah, 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 blah. Like, I know her mindset. And I think that that's the mindset of a lot of Americans.
Yeah, that's once again proving my thesis correct. Universal suffrage was a mistake. No. But in all seriousness, that's a really important point to point out the different realities that people live in. My boomer grandmother, who literally watches mainstream media all day, every day, and that's all she watches. So when all you watch is mainstream media, your worldview and your reality that you're living in is entirely different from, like, that's why we can't really talk about anything, because she doesn't have access to the information that I have access to. And then the rest of my family, they're siloed off in, Black Twitter and all these other like hyper liberal spaces. So like their reality is completely shaped by vastly different information than what I'm consuming on a regular basis.
Well, I think what's so startling for me about this tweet is really how anodyne it is. So it's not even really posturing, about the war. This is just like standard diplomatic talk. It sounds like there's no problem at all, right? It's okay. I'm the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic. I'm committed to peace and stability. Diplomacy with our neighbors. Talks with Pakistan and Oman, right? Then countries nearby, regional solutions. So there's not even talk about the war. There's not even posturing. He's not even saying like we're good and they're bad. This is completely anodyne. But hidden in the diplomatic language are some absolutely ridiculous claims. So I mean, I wouldn't disagree with your perspective here. I totally agree that this makes sense. But I just think it's like this is not even a case of posturing vis-a-vis the war.
Yeah, we have a comment. Lior is saying, "I refuse to believe he's smart about what to come up with it."
I think smart enough.
But okay, you read it.
Okay, so I correct me if I'm wrong, Lior, but I think you meant to say, I refuse to believe he's smart enough to come up with this approach, probably getting counsel from some other smarter Durka.
I think Arakchi is actually the one smarter guy that the other Durkas get counsel from. I think he's not in power, but he understands politics, so the people in power use him for advice. Arakchi is the smartest people within the Islamic Republic when it comes to politics with foreign politics. Is number one is Javad Zarif, number two is Arakchi. So this is one of the people who is actually understands what he's doing. He's evil, but he is, the jihadis who don't understand the politics of the West, they go to him to try to figure it out, even though they hate him.
Right. I think also you kind of described him, or we discussed it before, that he's a sort of ideological mercenary. Like he's available to do PR work on behalf of whatever faction is in power at the moment.
Yes.
We also have to remember that they are probably getting coaching from American IRGC supporters on the ground. And Russians, yeah. So just like this is why Armin's network is so important. People should come to the videos that we do because come to school, because we need as many like on the hands voices to give background, because that's what they're doing. They have this very extended network where they can cater their message to the on the ground cultures to get their way, to perpetuate their persecutions against the Iranian people and against the Middle East as a whole. And so that's I just think that that's important, that they have on the ground people. We need to basically counter that.
Yeah.
Armin, you're muted. You're not talking.
Okay. I'm sorry. Sid, did you start this comment? Sorry.
I did. Yeah. So I can read it. There is a lot of discussion about the USA not admitting to casualties in the war and losing their Middle East bases. The talk is overwhelmingly negative. How to stay positive? So I don't know. I mean, have any of you heard about this at all?
Shauna, Shauna is nodding.
I haven't heard about this, but this was actually on Ali's stream yesterday. There was a few people on Ali's stream that were getting like, "Oh, this is a disaster. Why are we losing blood to support a king?" There was a lot of comments like that, and so I was like, "Okay, so and they're like, we're losing our bases." Which, by the way, I have 2 points on this. One, we're not sacrificing blood and treasure to support a king. We are protecting ourselves from China. That's what's actually happening. Like, that's what America's motive is in all of this at the end of the day. Even though there's like maybe on a personal level and maybe on an emotional level, there's other things going on. At the end of the day, from an American political standpoint, it's about protecting from China. So that's 1 point. So it's not losing blood and treasure for any reason other than our own at the end of the day. And then the second point is that I don't think ISO-cucks have any right to say anything about losing bases because they don't even believe in having foreign bases. So that's how I feel about that. Like, if they're talking about losing bases and losing 19 soldiers, like, obviously we grieve their loss, but 19 soldiers over a 6-month war, if you grew up during the time of the post 9/11 period, is actually an incredibly small number. And if you don't believe in foreign bases, then you don't get to complain about losing them. You are the same people who wanted to shut down all of our bases. So just shut up. That's kind of how I feel. Sorry.
In furtherance to your point, Shauna, you're amazing. You're really like just hitting all the points today. In furtherance to your point, first of all, I need to add ISO-cucks into my lexicon because that's fantastic. Second of all, it's not just about protection from China, though. It's also about protection from crazy people who are ideological driven, who absolutely do want to use nukes on us. Like, that's the thing that I find so interesting, is that in some sense the nuclear weapons is kind of a pretext for the sort of larger restructuring of world trade and financial markets that's happening behind the scenes. But it's also a very real threat. It's a very real and legitimate threat, the nuclear weapons threat. So not only are we protecting ourselves from the Islamic Republic, we're protecting ourselves from China. We are reorganizing world markets. We are restructuring world trade. We are restructuring shipping lanes and supply chain flows. So all of those things are happening. But of course, if you're watching Podcastistan, if you're watching the mainstream media, you're not getting all of that. All you're getting is Trump bad, Orange Man bad, and Iran is winning. And nothing could be further from the truth.
So
Yeah.
I just going back to the question of whether the U.S. is hiding casualties, right? I mean, I don't know the answer to this, okay, and I haven't really looked into it. I have heard some. Yes, I heard U.S. is lying about troop casualty, right? So I did hear. I remember earlier on, like maybe a few months ago, hearing a lot of chatter about this. I think Candace Owens mentioned it. There was something like that. There was like more than 100 soldiers had died, or military personnel had died. As far as I could tell, like it was this is typical Candace Owens, completely unsourced. But and then I have heard some military analysts say it's actually extremely hard for considering our system and our government, for the U.S. to hide casualties. So I'm skeptical of the claims. I'm extremely skeptical of the claims that the U.S. is lying about troop casualties. But I guess we are hopefully we're going to find out eventually.
Somebody is saying why USA even has bases they could lose. I mean, the USA is not going to lose their bases. They might temporarily empty them, but they will not lose them unless they want to leave. But they will always have some presence. But the reason why USA has bases around the world is because the USA is the only force in the world that could secure international maritime trade routes. And without the U.S. Army present around the world, the whole world will collapse economically. That's why USA has bases.
Sad but true. And I think, Armin, I've heard mixed reporting about the bases in like Bahrain and Kuwait. I've heard people. I've heard claims that that the bases have been hit, that they've been bombed and degraded, and then I've also heard the opposite. I'm really not sure like who to believe on that point. It's a bit inconclusive for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. They were bombed and some Americans died because of the Islamic Republic bombing of especially the Jordanian bases. So that's true. But sometimes it makes sense to temporarily evacuate the bases because of there's not enough missile interceptors. I mean, there's enough, but if you keep using them, it gets dangerously to a dangerously low number, right? So if you have American soldiers there, the Islamic Republic could just keep shooting missiles at them, so that you have to use the missile interceptors that are really expensive to build and takes many years to build them. And then you're just they're not, your American soldiers there are not doing anything, but there's a good way for the Islamic Republic to force you to use your missile interceptors. So it does make sense to just move them out of there, so that you don't have to keep using your missile interceptors that you're short on. And the reason why you're short on is because Biden didn't actually fund the program in building the missile interceptors. That's the reason number one. Reason number two is that a lot of them were given to Ukraine freely given to Ukraine, which, I mean, we appreciate Ukraine, we love Ukraine, but this did cause United States to be short on missile interceptors right now. So that's why they need to be evacuated to something.
Yeah, so we're touching on a couple things that I think are tangentially related to this. I mean, one is why do we have military presence overseas? And there's an isolationist argument that this is just wasteful. This is a gratuitous expense, and it doesn't give us anything. So it doesn't serve us. It's just a way to move money outside of the country, right? Move taxpayer dollars outside the country, where it could be spent internally for various programs and so on, various social programs, etc. So I think that this is, to me, this is a real misunderstanding. I think our wealth and prosperity, which is real, okay, it is real. We are the wealthiest country in the world, and so that is a real thing. Okay, so again, we can talk about, like, yeah, can it be better? Yes, absolutely, it can be better. It can also be a shitload worse. Okay, it could be a lot worse. And one of the reasons why we're prosperous is because we protect our interests. That's one of the reasons why we do it. And if we don't protect our interests, somebody else will protect their interests at our expense. This is exactly what's going on with the Islamic Republic, with China, with Russia, and so on. That's their intent. They want to determine world events. And we don't want them to determine world events, because if they do determine world events, then we will be under their thumb and we're not going to like it. Okay, so that's the reason why we do it. And I think that we are, we're not perfect, but we're better stewards of the global order than pretty much any empire previously, or that Russia and China and the Islamic Republic and North Korea even claim to intend to want, right? So this is a stupid argument. And so that's one thing. The other thing is that to a large degree, military expenditure and military investment results in better technology that filters down into the civilian realm as well. And there's just tons and tons and tons and tons of examples of it. The internet being one. Okay, so GPS, these are military technologies. Solar, okay? So there's tons and tons of examples of military technology that's developed for military purposes that filter down into the civilian realm. The retarded assumption of the isolationists is that if we don't do this, then there will be no wars. Okay? That is completely ahistorical. America did not invent war.
That's great. By the way, now that you said that, I just want to read the super chat by Buttercup saying, I really like Sid. I'm just a guy in quotations looking forward to supporting his channel. Yes, his channel is going to be coming next week, right?
No, it's like in a couple of days. In a couple of days.
In a couple of days.
Yeah.
In a couple of days. Fantastic.
Real quick, Armin. Oh, keep going.
Just two comments. Casey was saying, thank you, Elisa and Shana, for being here. And then we had Cinderella saying, nice to have you on the panel, Shana. You are awesome. Just wanted to read all that love people are showing. All right, go on, Elisa. Sorry, interrupting you. Go on.
No, going back to Arachi's comment, Iran's commitment to peace and stability. It just made me think again about the Democrats sort of laundering the IRGC's propaganda, because this first line right here, that just goes to further the point of, like, look, we're just the little guys, we're just poor little innocent IRGC, and USA is bullying us, like just that first line right there, like the Democrats can just eat this up, be like, look at how mean the USA is being to poor little IRGC,
Yeah. Iran's poor little IRGC. Let me read that. Iran's commitment to peace and stability is matched by steadfast diplomacy with our neighbors, in talks with Pakistan and Oman gas, proposed framework for new corridor. I think what he's saying is that we're not even talking to the US. We already have other countries to talk to, and we're not taking the US seriously. I think that's what he's saying. Like, we don't need to talk to the US. This is our neighborhood. The US keeps like shouting, and we're just ignoring, and we're basically saying, okay, cool, bro, let's go. We're not going to talk to you anymore. We're just going to talk to our people, friends in the neighborhood. That's the way he wants this to be understood. Like, you keep yapping while we figure out just in here how we're going to deal with the Strait of Hormuz. That's the impression he wants to give.
Like like trying to redirect attention.
Trying to show to the Americans that your president is like just shouting and saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and we're tired. Like, we're not taking him seriously anymore. This is like just a shouting kid that is like wants to be like, look at me, and we're just doing our thing and figuring out how to resolve this mess that this idiot crazy man has created without even talking to him. That's the way that he wants this to be read.
I see. I don't think that really lands though, because I mean, President Trump isn't even the one who made the announcement about the sanctions. You know, Scott Bessent made the announcement, and Bessent carries himself in a very statesman-like sort of, you know, fashion.
Yeah, I mean, they see Scott Bessent as just like the puppet of Trump. You know, like the way that they talk about it is that Trump comes and breaks things, and then he doesn't know how to fix it, and he's like, he tells his cabinet like, "Oh, come fix the thing that I broke," and then that everybody has to clean up after him, right? Like he just, like the way that they try to portray him is like he doesn't know what he's doing with the tariffs, with the war, with Doge, and he just comes out and just like announces things and breaks things apart, and then his entire team around him are like, okay, how could we clean up his mess? That's the way they portray him.
And then is this meant for just the Democrat audience here in America, or like who is this meant for then, or just
internal and external audience?
Okay.
I mean, actually, that's a good segue. It's for CNN, I guess, because we could listen to CNN and see how they're reading all of this. Because it's interesting. Every time I look at CNN, they're many times, not always, I feel like this is pretty much a copy paste of what I'm hearing from the Islamic Republic State TV. But I don't know. I haven't watched this one. So we could like listen to this and see how they're perceiving this economic blockade stuff. And Taofe, I see your super chat. I'll respond to it soon, but let me play this first.
Sanctions on Iran today. The administration has heralded as an economic D-Day. Is that what today was in your view?
Well, it's a sign that the president has lost the war militarily, and he's admitting that. None of his objectives have been fulfilled. Iran's regime is stronger than ever. They're perfectly intact. They still have their missiles, their nuclear program, their drones. They can harass and attack us anytime they want. So he's basically admitted that he can't win this war militarily, which is a disaster. And now he's sort of faking this new sanctions campaign. He's faking it because we basically already sanctioned everything that we can. The only thing left to do would be essentially to declare a new trade war with China to try to get China to stop buying Iran's oil, because Iran's economy will stay afloat if China continues to buy Iran's oil. But the president doesn't seem, and Bessent doesn't seem willing to do even that. So this appears to be just kind of rhetoric to make it look like he's still fighting the war, even though the war is basically already lost. It's certainly lost militarily. And well, if China continues to buy Iran's oil, which it looks like they'll continue to do, then you can't really deliver a death blow to the Iranian economy either. So just a lot of bluster amidst a growing, incompetently run war that's hurting Americans.
Who is this guy? That is the most outlandish cope I think I have heard this in the year 2026. So basically, his entire argument is one: the USA, our military lost. Decisively, conclusively lost. That's his first point. His second point is that the sanctions aren't real. That's his argument. That's his whole argument. USA didn't really win the war. How? In what way? Where's your proof? Where's your logic? What?
Well, we always have to remember. Oh, go ahead, Armin.
No, you go ahead.
Well, we always have to remember that Democrats always win when America is losing. So, of course, that's who they're gonna highlight. They're gonna highlight everything they can to make this sound like a loss for America. Is going to bump up the isolationist left and parts of the isolationist right, which is why some of the isolationist right, the ISO cucks are, I mean, Fuentes declared himself a Democrat, right? Like that is what that base is kind of moving towards, in my opinion. And so, yeah, he wants America to lose because he wants us to pull out so that they can get their kind of votes up from both the communists and the ISO cucks and the Islamists who want us to pull out because they want to kill America. So like those are the three forces that support the Democratic Party at the moment.
So their argument would be that for why America lost is that this was United States clearly went into this for regime change. President Trump was his expectations were really high because of his experience in Venezuela. He thought this would be like that. He was on such a high, seeing that they went into Venezuela, they removed Maduro, and now under the same framework they had the people in Venezuela that are now operating in the way the United States was, and he got really confident that they could do the same thing. Then there was an uprising in Iran, and the Israelis told him, like, "Oh yeah, you could come do the same thing here. It will be easy, right?" And then based on also what President Trump said and what he did, it's obvious that they were looking for regime change. They told the people to come out and help us on the way. So obviously they wanted to topple the regime. They were arming the Kurdish separatist groups, and they had Ahmadinejad in mind for replacing the heads of the Islamic Republic, and that all fell apart. So the reason why they think that it failed is because they went in thinking that they could do a 2-week regime change, and that never happened. President Trump said this was going to be quick and easy, and now here we are, and the regime is still in power, and they didn't fall, and Trump is stuck in a war that he can't leave, but he can't finish either, and he's stuck. He doesn't know what to do. If he leaves, he has to admit defeat, but he can't finish it either because he realized that this is more difficult. They're low on missile interceptors. Prices will go up before the midterms, and they don't have enough strategic oil reserves to be able to continue the war and disrupt the supply chain of oil. And that's why he's stuck here. So they will say that he's just doing an announcement of an economic isolation without actually doing anything meaningful. And the announcement of the economic D-Day is just to pretend that they're winning this, even though they're stuck in this situation. That would be their steelman of this side. So how do you respond to all of that?
Well, first of all, the war was quick. It was quick, especially when you compare it to the 20-year war we just had in Afghanistan. It was quick. The kinetic action, the bulk of the kinetic action was within a 6-week time frame. Like the war was won kinetically in the first 2 weeks. We spent 4 more weeks just onesie and twosieing various targets and what have you. But militarily, yeah, it was a quick and easy defeat, like objectively so. And then also, I've never seen a statement from Trump where, first of all, he's never said that he wanted a regime change. He's always hammered the point about nuclear weapons, that they can't have a nuclear weapon. So Trump has never advocated for regime change, and he never said that he never said anything about we're just going to go in and just pluck the president or whoever out of Iran. Like, he never made any comments to that effect.
Can I ask you guys what you think? Do you think that Chris Murphy believes what he's saying here?
It could go either way. He could be a useful idiot who really does believe it, or he could be somebody who knows better, but he gets paid well to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it
go
could
ahead,
be
Shawna.
both. Yeah, I think it could be both too, as well. Basically, I feel the same way. Although I do tend to believe that humans will, even if their primary original motive was to make money, I think the mistake both sides make is to assume that the other side is 100% lying, as much as I think more what happens with humans in general is that they have a motive to buy into their own bullshit. I think that that's more what happens. So.
I mean, what you think?
I don't know. To me, it's difficult to know. Difficult to know people's intention unless they communicate the intentions with you, or unless there is absolute evidence. That's why I try not to guess people's intentions and just deal with whether or not what they're saying is right or wrong, unless I have really a lot of evidence for me to see their intentions. But usually I can't tell unless they prove it to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think we can't know, right? We can't know what's in his heart. We just so it is only speculation. It's only for the purpose of speculation. But I do think so. I guess my guess, and it's really only a hunch, so I'll just put up because Sarah said I think he believes it. I also think he believes it. So again, this is just a hunch, and we're speculating, and we have no way of knowing what's in his heart. But I think that Chris Murphy and the CNN audience are really primed to believe this. They're very, very primed to believe this. This is very much in line with the narrative about Trump, and about pretty much everything that he does, everything that you said, Armin, right? That he's impulsive, and I mean, to me, probably the most absurd part of this is when he said that we lost the war militarily, because I think that that's really that's a very asymmetric measurement of success, right? Like basically, what do we have to do to win, and what do they have to do to win? I think that they have to do basically nothing to win. Right? They don't have to do anything to win. And we have to do everything to win. So it's not really measured appropriately. And that's why like that particular statement caught me as absurd. But I think and CNN is going to let him get away with it. They're not really going to challenge the idea. Well, wait a second. I mean, did they win? Did they win militarily? What was their military success? Right. So they're not going to challenge him on that. But I think a lot of the other stuff that he said is quite reasonable if you accept the CNN sort of modal CNN viewer framing. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I just want to say, I think that's actually, you brought up a really good point, which is where we have to do everything. They have to do nothing. Like, I think that actually, weirdly, the left is more pro-regime change than the right is, in one very specific sense, which is they calculate any troop dead as a loss, and they also seem to calculate only if there's a change in government. Does that mean that America won? Now, they don't want America to win, in my opinion. I think they're really just ISO-cucked fully on the left for various reasons. But I do think that that's part of their measurement system is we lost one troop and there wasn't a new government. I think that weirdly that makes them more pro-regime change. Now that I'm kind of like looking at what they're measuring, I'm just throwing that out there as a thought.
Wait,
Yeah.
I don't fully understand your point.
Well, when I say pro-regime change, I don't mean that that's necessarily what they want. What I mean is that they don't see victory unless there is a regime change. So if we lose one soldier and we don't get regime change, then we've lost. That's how asymmetric their view is. They calculate winning, I believe, as a new government. For example, they're not saying that we lost in Venezuela for the most part. They're saying we committed genocide. They're saying a lot of other crazy shit, but they're not saying that we lost. Why would they not say that we lost? They're saying because there's a new government, technically, or at least a new leader, a new head leader. So it makes me, and I'm just putting this out there as a thought. So I could be,
Yeah, I think you're onto something, Shauna. I mean, so that basically because they've set the metric, right? That success means regime change, right? So that anything short of regime change,
regardless of what Trump says, like his statements don't matter.
Regardless, exactly. So that has nothing to do with it. So in that sense, right? What he's saying is okay. They've won. We've lost militarily. They've won militarily, right? So what does he mean? Is that regime change wasn't achieved? Okay, so it doesn't matter that that their military capability is decimated. It doesn't matter that dozens of their top leadership are dead. So that doesn't matter because that is short of the baseline for success. And if that's how we define success, then I think that's what Shauna's point is, that in a sense that they are insisting on regime change. They're insisting on regime change to demonstrate that any military operation in this regard is beneficial to American interests.
Well, that's actually very useful, though. Like that framing is super useful because if they genuinely see military victory as it's this one specific outcome, and anything short of that outcome is automatically a loss. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Like we're going to pick this metric. Like there's no logical reason for it. This is our metric for success. We've decided it arbitrarily. You either meet this one goal or you don't. And if you don't, then we get to say that you lost.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
let me read two super chats before I think Shana wants to get in, but let me just read two super chats. Taofe, thank you so much for the super chat saying we stand there. Basically, we as in the U.S. and the U.S. military, we stand there so we don't have to fight here. That's it. In a nutshell, we don't occupy. We stand ready to defend, lead, follow, or get out of the way. Yes, I mean, I think it's two reasons. For United States Army is there so that they don't have to fight at home, but also to secure global trade. And that's an important addition, I think, in my opinion. And you're right. United States doesn't occupy because it's doing everywhere the U.S. has a base. It does that with the permission and collaboration and the request, actually, of the countries that it has U.S. bases in. When United States has a U.S. base in a country, they begged for it. So that's not occupation, right? Not that occupation is necessarily a bad thing, but that's not occupation. And thank you, Taofe. And Sayed, thank you so much for the super chat saying, welcome abroad, Shana, to the panel. Great panel indeed. Look at this. People love Shana. Shana, you're very popular already. Thank you. All right, Shana, you wanted to say something before I interrupted you. Thank you, Sayed.
Oh, I just wanted to thank Sid for translating my ambient thoughts, my unconstructed thoughts.
It's one of my favorite things to do with Shauna, because I feel like Shauna has so much interesting insight, but it's very dense, and then I have to think about it for a minute, but it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. It's very useful to have that framing, because it's like I haven't done this practice in a very long time of trying to actually get into the mind of a leftist. Like, I struggle so much to communicate with my family who are very, very far left. And so it's like, I'm just like, I literally don't know how to talk to you. So being able to kind of get this perspective of, oh, like this is how a leftist might be seeing it. It's like, okay, that helps me, because I can't get there on my own. It's just such a huge leap in logic that I'm like, I just don't know how they got from A to B.
Okay, so this is what I try to do with the jihadis and the communists when I steelman them. And so I see sometimes the people in the chat get angry with me when I steelman them, but I think it's a good practice to try to do, right? So just so that so that you guys know that I'm actually on your side, my answer to anybody who says that the United States is losing is basically similar to what Sid said, right? Ali Khamenei is dead. President Trump is alive. All of the top military leadership, all of them, not some of them, all of the top military leadership of the Islamic Republic is dead. All of the first layer. Not only the United States didn't lose a general, they didn't even lose a commander. And again, I'm saying this, I understand. I'm not saying this to belittle the loss of the soldiers. Every single soldier, American soldier, is very, very important. But the reason why I'm saying this is because in battle, if you want to compare what you lost compared to what they lost, is they lost their generals. You didn't lose any generals or any commanders. They lost a lot of soldiers. United States has lost soldiers, which are very important and a huge loss to the United States, comparable to what the Islamic Republic has lost. The Islamic Republic has lost a lot more. The Islamic Republic has lost most of its air force, most of its navy, most of its air defense, most of its a lot of its IRGC bases, a lot of its Basiji bases, all of its nuclear enrichment facilities that were functioning, and the United States has not lost a single thing on its soil. Not a single thing of the United States was lost on its soil. So I don't know by what metric this is a loss for the United States and a win for the Islamic Republic, but that metric doesn't make any sense, whatever that is, right? You could say that compared to what we wanted, we didn't achieve what we wanted, but you can't describe this as a win for the Islamic Republic, right? To me, it's more like you going against, like, two teams going against each other, and one team is so superior that you expected the score to be 20 versus 20 on that side and 2 on the other, and it ended up being, I don't know, 18 versus 5, right? And you were expecting a bigger gap, but you still won by a huge margin, but you were expecting a bigger gap. But even though it's short of your expectation, it still cannot be described as a loss. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I just had an epiphany while you were speaking there. That was really helpful. It plays right into the tactic that leftists use anyways, which is moving goalposts, right? So it's like, if I have this achievement, and this achievement, and this achievement, and I have all these different data points that I can point to, what a leftist is always going to do is they're going to pivot towards a different data point that you haven't brought up yet, or that you don't have evidence for yet, and they'll be like, oh, but what about this over here? So they will immediately run to so their cover is where can I find shelter ideologically, politically, that hasn't already been covered by these data points that have already been exposed, and then they'll just run over there. So that's the one data point that they have, is that, well, we haven't had regime change yet. So they can hide behind that as cover all day long and just ignore every other a metric of success that we have achieved in this war, right?
Yeah, and so this goes back to something that I talk about frequently, which is that, so if we listen to what Chris Murphy is saying here, I think I could speculate that he believes what he's saying, and that the audience also is inclined to believe what he's saying, and that CNN is not going to challenge him on this, right? So it's just sort of going to allow this perspective to be broadcast without any critique. And if I listen to it, we're listening to it, we're saying, okay, there's a lot that is worth challenging. There's a lot here that he said that we would not just uncritically rubber stamp. But the problem is that there is a narrative forming infrastructure that allows this to enter the discourse unchallenged. That is a form of asymmetric warfare that our enemies have been conducting against us for generations. And the end result is this. That even something like this, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt, and it says that he believes this, and he believes this because based on what he's heard. Okay, but the issue is that it's not challenged. That's the issue, is that it's not challenged. So that audience is never exposed to the possibility that, hey, you know what? You might not be right about this, Chris Murphy. This is what you're missing, right? This is the stuff you're missing, and that conversation doesn't happen. And the reason, this is my I guess pet theory. My pet theory is the reason that this doesn't happen is because the IR, the Muslim Brotherhood, the FSB, the Chinese Ministry of State Security, that they have sufficiently captured and infiltrated the institutions, and they are able to form narrative in the West. Okay, and that didn't happen overnight. That took a lot of time. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to analyze this stuff and give a critique, so that what Murphy is saying doesn't go unchallenged. It's a very difficult thing to do because they have been doing it for so long and they're really good at it. So we have to, we're going to have to sort of like eat the elephant bite by bite. We're just going to have to do it. Okay, we're just going to have to do it. But this is the problem. And this is a real accomplishment that our enemies have done. Okay, it's a real accomplishment.
And not just them, but the communists got there first. And then the Muslim Brotherhood got in there and aligned with the communists who were already conducting that long march through the institutions.
Yes, exactly. So the Soviets have created a kind of an infrastructure that allowed the Muslim Brotherhood and the IR to sort of plug into it. And it's been extremely successful. And this is the reason why Chris Murphy can say this stuff without being challenged. Not everything that he said is outlandish. Okay, not everything that he said is outlandish. And the other side could be critiqued. There are things that we can critique the administration for. With regards to messaging, with regards to accomplishments, absolutely. But that should be challenged. Our perspective is constantly challenged, or not even ever broadcasted. Chris Murphy's perspective is unchallenged. It goes unchallenged. It just goes straight into the discourse. And this is the problem that I have. And this is because we've been asleep at the wheel, and we've allowed these people to infiltrate our institutions, and we've allowed them to set narrative without challenge.
All right, so guys, we need to get to the next post. So talking about challenging these narratives, I think Scott Bessent had a really good way of challenging these narratives. He look at this post, right? And guys, this is going to get Pezeshkian and Ghalibaf into a lot of trouble with the jihadis inside Iran. So he posted saying, Iran's leadership is admitting what the world can now see. The pressure is working. President Masoud Pezeshkian acknowledged Iran's economic shortages, saying the war must come to an end at some point. Mohammad Baqir Ghalibaf, Iran's parliamentary speaker, was even more direct, saying no matter how much military power we have, if people are hungry and we don't have financial circulation, economic growth, and domestic production, we will not endure. We will not endure. Under President Trump, Treasury will continue to sever every economic lifeline sustaining this regime until Tehran stands alone. So we saw this person saying this, none of this is working, it's all for show. And I think Scott Bessent is, look at it, it comes with visuals as well. This is Pezeshkian and this is Ghalibaf. Like, we will not endure. So it's showing that the Islamic Republic itself is saying otherwise. I think it's a very effective counter narrative, right?
Yeah, it's so fascinating to see that side by side, because this happens every single day. The left will go and they'll make a claim like that guy there on CNN, and it's like, I can fact check that in 2 seconds, which is why it's like the more that I've learned over the years, the harder it becomes for me to put myself in that position of a leftist and how they see the world. It's so hard, because it's like I can go and find this information for myself. It's not hidden from me. It's not difficult to find, but yet they've built this infrastructure that has so well insulated their sort of hive mind from the truth. It's really kind of discombobulating to think to think about.
So, and I would say, I would just add to that, Elisa, I'm not even talking about the truth, because, let's say that the truth is contested. I'm only talking about challenge.
Sure.
Right? Is what you're saying true? Can we critique it? Can we get some different perspectives? Can we analyze it? No, none of that happens. And that's my frustration. So, I mean,
and that's exactly why they say that debate is violence. You can't have debate because it will break their argument. Like in an instant. This is why you can't have conservative voices come on college campuses. It's violent to do that, because it will totally shatter this very carefully crafted narrative they worked so hard to build.
So Bill Tube says both sides do it. Nobody should do it, right? I mean, anyone who's doing it is deceiving their own audience for their own benefit. Okay, for their own benefit. We should be in an environment where claims are challenged and there is good faith critique. We should be in that environment. We want to get better. I'm not interested in the status quo. I'm interested in improvement.
Yeah, I don't want improvement.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I don't want Tucker Carlson to go out and run his mouth any more than this guy on CNN. Like, it's absurd. Like, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
So, guys, try to be mindful of Shauna and get her in as well. If you,
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Shauna. I really liked everything that you guys were saying, though. I agree with all that. I will say that when we talk about both sides doing it, I would say that's true of the corporate traditional media. Both sides do it because that's the infrastructure that was built. But if you look at independent media, even huge independent media, which is now mainstream, like people like Ben Shapiro and Daily Wire, which is like a conservative, he's got his start by debating people, by holding their feet to the fire. So I would actually argue that on the right, outside of corporate media, we don't have as much of that problem. I'm not saying that we don't get into our own echo chambers, because I think that happens naturally because of the algo gods. They kind of mandate that. But I do think that in general, the right is outside of corporate media tends to be a little bit better. Also, I wanted to just kind of get a word in. Trump did something really fascinating, and this is partly a tribute to the legacy of Charlie Kirk, because he was instrumental in this, widening the tent in ways that were not, that you wouldn't expect. So one of the ways that Trump won was that he was able to bring in these businessmen who were traditionally Democrats, who are gay, but he also got votes from like the Amish community because they wanted to sell raw milk. Like, these are people that on the American tapestry don't really have anything in common with each other, but he was able to bring them both into the same tent. And the right has won by widening our tent and by being slightly more open to, and that's how we get Scotty B. Like, we wouldn't have Scotty B if that tent hadn't been widened slightly. Now, I understand as a right-wing person, like the desire to kind of insulate and to protect, that's sort of our natural stance. But there are times and places where we really, really benefit from bringing in non-traditional people that we wouldn't have historically gone to. And this new right movement has gained a lot of momentum and has the ability to really bring back America to full greatness. And because we've kind of pulled in different voices. So I just kind of wanted to point out that Scotty B was not necessarily somebody that traditional conservatives prior to Trump would have gone to, and look at how much he's getting us.
And Scott Presler deserves a lot of credit as well. Like, God bless Charlie Kirk for sure. Scott Presler has worked his butt off, like especially with the Amish in Pennsylvania. He's been huge for MAGA, for Trump getting the win in 24.
I appreciate you remembering the guy's name. I get so, this is where my weakness is I'm very hyper focused on like my region. And so I kind of know what happens peripherally, but I forget details.
No, that was all very good. That was very good.
And can I just say, I'm increasingly convinced that that Scott Besson is watching Armin and Ali's streams.
Well, I don't know if they're watching our streams, but I just got invited to two more Newsmax episodes. So maybe they watch Newsmax.
Hey.
Apparently my first appearance there, they liked it. So now they want me there more, which is amazing.
Outstanding.
I just got the invitation. So thank you.
Hey,
Guy, my guy is here. Hi, Guy.
Hi,
what's up?
Hello. I do want to point out that Tusi said when he moved to America that he was surprised by how high-ranking the people who helped him with the visa issues were. Could be Scotty B. It could be that Scotty B is a fan.
Ah, really?
I mean,
could be.
It's very much speculation.
Rubio.
It's probably not Scotty B.
No. Rubio is the Secretary of State. Scotty B's Treasury.
Yeah, but Scotty B could just be a fan.
It could. Well, yeah. Fair enough.
I do want to read the super chats because 3 all of a sudden. Thank you, guys. 3 back to back. Ghalibov. Yes, it's because of Guy. Ghalibov, thank you so much for being a fan, Ghalibov. Wait, Ghalibov, liked and subscribe, is saying, fantastic new additions for the channel. Yes, we got Elisa and Shana are new and they're fantastic. Love the additions. And guys, make sure you subscribe to Elisa.
Like Ghalibov.
Yeah, like Ghalibov did. Ghalibov, make sure. So look at this. She's so Elisa just in one day she got to 131 subscribers. So guys, the link to that is in the description.
That's insane.
Yes, and guys, I don't know why Guy is so behind. He needs to be to 1,000 subscribers right now. So the link to that is in the description.
Everyone show Guy some love.
Everybody should also go to Guy's Israel chats. I know it's not a convenient time for a lot of people, but if you can't catch the live edition, you should circle back. He has a lot of great information if you want to understand the Middle East at all.
The best
and
Israel
more importantly,
channel
my watch
in the
time.
world. Yes, the
Aw.
best Israel channel in the world, for sure. And then also Monkey is less than 100 away from 1,000. Oh wait, I haven't been highlighting. This has been blocking. All right, so let's go back. This is Elisa's channel, 131 subscribers. Guy is at 850, so 150 away from 1,000. And Monkey is less than 100, only 96 more subscribers, less to 1,000. So let's support all of them. The link to all the channels are in the description. And thank you, Ghalibaf. Again, I'd never expected ever in my life to say thank you, Ghalibaf, as much as I'm doing these days. So thank you, Ghalibaf, for the support. And George with the super chat. Thank you so much. You're saying, how do I join discussion? I just signed up the premium app. You're talking about
the school discussion.
So
how does he join?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I got a referral from someone named George, for what it's worth.
Oh, maybe it's this George. Fantastic. So George, today in about 3 hours, right? We're gonna have our group call. So just join in there, and we have group calls. Check the calendar. So guys, the link to our group is in the description. You could see the calendar here. So yes, in about 3 hours, we're gonna have our group calls. We have group calls every single day. So just come there and open your mic, and put a 1 in the chat so that we could take your turn, and then come there and talk to us.
But,
and guys, coming to our group calls is also a good way to eventually join us on these panels if you're interested in that. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, Armin, can you just demonstrate for George exactly how to join? So that link at the top, it says Premium Politics. Yeah, you click on that, George.
Yeah. So there's 2 ways. Either you just click on this, and then you click on this.
You're hiding it. You're hiding it. So
okay, so let me go back. Let me go back. Let's do this again. You either you go to the on the home page, you're gonna see the next group call. So you could either click on it, and then you click on this, and it takes you to the call. Right now, there's nobody there. So that's one way. Another way is to just come to the calendar and just see all of the scheduled group calls that we have. And guys, the link to our discussion group is it's in the description, and it's also in the QR code next to Shauna's face at the top left.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to you, George.
Yeah, looking forward to that, George. And then we have Boboism. Thank you so much, Boboism, for the super chat, saying how to convince my kids that useful idiots about Islam. Okay.
Even I'm stumped.
No, basically he's asking for advice on how to talk his kids out of useful idiocy on Islam. So basically, So I think
it depends on where you live. The advice will probably be different. This is what I've discovered. Like for America, just highlighting. This is just highlighting like for Americans, really highlighting sovereignty and independence and individualism. You can kind of cater that a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, but you do have to center on those shared values. For other countries, I don't know. Maybe if they're Russians, you would want to highlight strength or something. I have no idea. I'm just guessing, but
so it looks like Boboism is in Sweden. Oh,
or something. Yeah,
Swedish,
in the
Swedish krona. Yeah, Swedish krona looks like the currency. Yeah,
we should bring Kare into that question. He's on our chats, on our school discussions. He might be.
I have 20 years of experience of speaking people out of Islam. So in my experience, is if you're not making content for other people to expose Islam, and your goal is actually to convince the person you're talking to reconsider Islam, is more listening and less talking, right? And letting them talk and asking questions, and producing doubt by not making statements. Try to direct them to question it themselves rather than you questioning them for them. That has produced the best results. By the way, I don't know who's starting that comment, but I don't think we should highlight that on YouTube.
No, so it's a person. This is the name of the person. I'm not the one who started. Someone else started, but it's it looks way worse than what he's actually. Yes. There's a person with this name.
Yeah,
has a show where people say hi, guys.
Okay, we don't have to show. But
yeah, no, it's
yes, okay,
but it's not. It's
all
not.
Right, And then we got another super chat. Thank you so much, Boboism, for the super chat saying, did you see my message about why we have a Navy? Yes, we read it. Didn't we read that?
I don't recall.
Oh, was it?
Did we?
Yeah, I don't know. Or maybe it was someone else with a similar. Oh, no, somebody was saying, why do we have bases? So, no, we didn't see that. Sorry if we missed it. And thank you. Hopefully, we'll see you later today in our group calls, and we'll talk to you there. And thank you so much for supporting us. Yeah. All right. So we have to go to this next video. So this is like a, I don't know, this account is making it a gotcha moment against the conservatives, saying, in a stunning moment, Fox News just revealed that JP Morgan is predicting that we will enter a global food crisis due to Donald Trump's war in Iran. Wow, hyperbole. Every American needs to see this. So I haven't seen this. Let's see what this video is.
Talk about another concern. Corn, soybean, wheat conditions are all deteriorating, and JP Morgan is warning of a potential global food crisis. Could this be the beginning of that, Scott?
Well, they say it is. I mean, they'll make the argument that we're already starting that. We've had some trouble this year with our crops. Mother Nature has not been complying as well. It's not a disaster by any means, but it's just not what we thought we were going to be getting. But the real key here, for the first time in a long time, Ashley, is the fact that we've got a problem with logistics. So weather is taking a back seat. Logistics around the world has slowed up. I mean, we've heard about the Straits of Hormuz, but we've got another issue in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov with the Kerch Straits. We've got problems there with wheat, and both of them have problems with fertilizer. And when we don't put down as much fertilizer, guess what happens to yields? So this is a cascading event. So this is a logistics issue, it's a weather issue, geopolitical issue, and they're all kind of stacking up, unfortunately, for the perfect storm, where JP Morgan sees food inflation at 5% next year. So that's not good. That could be a problem if we get any real big hiccups with Mother Nature.
This was not at all what the caption promised it would be.
Armand,
okay, so first of all, it said the guy said this is not a disaster, and he also said it's about many other things that it has nothing to do with the Strait of Hormuz. It was the opposite of the caption.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to be that person. I barely heard anything that guy says because he looks like a character from Alice in Wonderland or something. Like, I was so fixated on his glasses and his stupid bow tie. I was like, who is taking financial advice from this person? What am I looking at?
So, in his defense,
okay, I'm glad that I got my point in before you said that. So okay,
yes, that's the analysis we're here for. No, but in his defense, this is something that analysts often do. Like Dan Ives also does this. He dresses ridiculously because it keeps attention on him, and it's like people know him as that guy who dresses this way when he makes analysis.
Yeah, because people don't remember your name, and you're not going to be like, okay, it's just another talking head. But if you dress like that, you're like, oh, that's that guy. So it's actually works. I know it looks funny, but it works, right?
It's peacocking.
Right? But he's right. The guy is like, separate from regardless of what he's wearing, he was saying like, yeah, it's not going to be a disaster. And he said, whether other, trade routes in other places, other logistic issues. Look at the caption. The caption is like, in a stunning moment, Fox News just revealed that JP Morgan is predicting that we will enter a global food crisis due to Donald Trump's war in Iran.
It doesn't say that. That's
not what I heard.
That's the thing is it didn't say anything about Donald Trump's war. He said he had actually a very reasonable take. I was ready to pounce. To pounce. And there is a problem. There's going to be some food shortages, but the reason that's happening is a very, very complex. And actually what the Trump administration is doing to fix it is great. I talked about this a little bit the other day, but they're fixing the issue we have, for example, with H1 or H2A visas, which are basically agricultural workers. The robotics is helping a lot, but we still need manual labor for certain things. And so we're fixing those visas so that we can get them. They used to be on a seasonal cycle, which caused problems. So now farmers that need extra help from like Mexico and South America can get visas for 365 days, which means that we won't have to deal with seasonal cycles. So that's one way that's being fixed. We're also working on producing our own fertilizers. There are blockades, there are issues. And yes, of course, the war hurts some of those issues, but it is very, very diverse and complex. It's not, and his take was way more reasonable. I basically didn't disagree with any of it other than it had something to do with like Trump's war, because I would actually argue that a lot of the food issues are being fixed fundamentally by the Trump administration. So
thousands of 15,000 people liked it as if that was the caption is correct, and like commenting as if they, even though the video was not at all what they were saying it was. But
I don't think they watched it.
Okay.
Most likely they
But
didn't.
now that
No.
you're commenting, Shana, now that you commented on that, do you mind reading this? This one got 43,000 likes and 500,000 views. But this is by Hassan Piker. So do you want to read this, Shana, and respond to this?
This is a stupid take. Our food is poison. The surveillance state is put a flock axon camera in every corner. A data center in every backyard. Prices are out control, so he didn't even use proper grammar. Our military depleted its ammo and burned billions in Iran for Israel. America has always had tremendous potential, and we are squandering. Okay, number one, at least read before you post. Okay, number two. I mean, people make mistakes. I get it, but I have to point that out. Number two, I don't like when he in particular does this. Hassan is so dishonest because he will play the patriotic card when it's convenient, but he doesn't give a fuck about America. He grew up in Turkey. He will identify as Muslim or white as if those are different categories when it's convenient. Those are mutually exclusive categories when it's convenient. And it is like, it's ridiculous. Also, we didn't burn billions for Israel. Everything that we've done has been because Israel is an ally and also because it benefits us. It's not like we're doing things just lying on our sword for another country. Everything that we're doing also benefits us. And the other thing too is about a data center in every backyard. It is true that data centers are expanding, but he uses those data centers for his career, right? So he uses that information. It's not bad that there's data centers that are expanding. It's not in backyards, though. It's in very specific locations. It's not going into residential areas the way people think. As far as the camera stuff, I don't have a take on that because that's a very complex issue I just haven't looked into. As far as our food being poison, I'm pretty sure that is highly contested point, and that RFK is quote unquote fixing it. I don't agree with everything RFK says or does, but hypothetically, Maha is doing a lot of things that a lot of nutritional experts have wanted to do for years, reprioritizing things like protein. So this whole take is stupid. As far as us squandering our potential, first of all, I just disagree that he gets to count as a we or an R. I just reject him. I know technically he's an American, but I just don't include him in my R. Number one. And number two, I don't think we're squandering it. I think we're restoring it to the greatness that it was promised, that it has the potential for. I think we've been squandering it throughout most of my lifetime. This is the first time in my lifetime that we've actually had a president really go and help us build infrastructure, both internally while maintaining our place on the global stage. So that's my take. It's my hot-headed off the cuff take.
Very well said. Very well said.
Can I respond to Cheng's nephew next?
Yes, of course.
That's the most directly I'm willing to refer to him, and that's also the only skill he had.
Mm-hmm.
This idiot, and he is an idiot. Like I'm convinced he has low IQ.
Mm-hmm.
His claim to fame.
That's what happens when you're inbred.
All right,
I don't know about that. Some people just have low IQs because of themselves. But he used to make frat boy videos, picking up women. He was essentially an Andrew Tate type person until it became inconvenient. And now he is grifting off of communism while owning a multi-million-dollar home, and shocking his dog with a shock collar to stay in place while he streams. This is a psychopath. Okay, Cenk's nephew is a psychopath. Full stop. Now, our food is poison. I assume this is referring to the beef that was recently imported, that was cheaper than other beef because it has something in it. RFK Jr. is doing to food things that should have been done for like 50 years that weren't done because of certain lobbies. I don't know the story about the beef beyond like what I've seen in the headlines, but even if that's true, on net, this administration is doing far more good than anyone else. Data centers are absolutely necessary to win the AI race and not be a slave to China, which I'm sure he would love. But prices are out of control. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's see what happens when you take power. What's going to happen in New York? I'm sure that's going to go splendidly. Our military depleted its ammo and burned billions in Iran for Israel. It wasn't for Shauna, I disagree. It wasn't for Israel one bit. It was for America completely. And because Israel has the same interests, went along with it, like joined forces, because Israel and the U.S. have a lot of similar interests.
Apparently, we're not allowed to have mutual interests.
No, yeah. America has always had tremendous potential. We're squandering it. I want to see what happens to America's potential if you take power, you stupid piece of shit.
Well, we're seeing exactly what happens because Mondamni is a copy of Hassan Piker. Furthermore, the only thing I can add to what you and Shauna said, because you covered that so very completely, he is a terrorist sympathizer, a terrorist lover, explicitly so. He loves Hamas. He loves Hezbollah unapologetically. Talks about it all the time. Wished for Charlie Kirk's death. Celebrates his death every chance he gets. Believes that America deserves 9/11. He has no business being inside our borders. He should have been deported years ago. And the fact that he still has the privilege to live in America is disgusting. He needs to go back to Turkey.
One more thing. He called Houthi terrorists who...
Let's sit in at some point as well. Sit in Shana as well. Yeah, I'm Shana. Sit, I mean. Yes, go on.
Okay. Like he calls the Houthi pirates, because he's so dumb and because they use the word pirates, he calls them he compares them to One Piece, which is an anime about pirates, and the pirates are the good guys. But like, these are people who murder and kill and rape and do all these things. Like, this is not a game and this is not a meme, but this guy is so dumb, so empty-headed, and so psychopathic that he doesn't care about any of this because he just likes to meme things into existence. I'm done.
Yes.
All right, Sid?
Yeah. So increasingly, I view people like Hassan Piker and Nick Fuentes as like punk rock or gangster rap, right? It's like it's a, instead of music being the arena in which they perform their subversion, it's politics. And part of the power of it is how aggravating it is, right? How aggravating it is to normies, or how aggravating it is to older generations. So that, I think, is what a lot of where he gets his audience from. It's like it's a subversive, edgy kind of performance art that he's doing, and that appeals to sort of disaffected, angsty, privileged teenagers.
And he's protected because, in addition to being Cenk's nephew, he also has an excellent relationship with the CEO of Twitch.
Sure. Yeah. So well, I mean, yeah. So this is exactly this supports my point very well, Lisa. So there is an elite that benefits from this, so like that's actually earning money off the punk rock or off the gangster rap, right? So there's an elite that like helps to promote it because it's it has monetary potential. So basically that's what I think that he's doing. Increasingly, that's what I feel like he's doing. And so I wouldn't say like so if we think about it as like, okay, how is he as a political analyst? I mean, he's very confused because he's saying that, he's constantly contradicting himself. But so I think it's, if we look at it as like, how is he as a sort of political social media performance artist? I think he's actually he's clearly quite effective. And even something like this, which is idiotic on the surface, right, is attractive to a lot of people. So, when I look at this, it's just, in very recent memory, I can recall Piker saying that the fall of the Soviet Union was a disaster, and that Mao Zedong is one of the world's great leaders.
Yes, he did say that.
Yeah, so he said that. So what he said when he's doing that, he's also saying, I have no principled objection to the surveillance state. That's what he's saying, okay? He's saying, I have no principled objection to the surveillance state. The issue is not surveillance. The issue is who does the surveillance. I want to be doing the surveillance, and I want to be imprisoning my political opponents. Not that surveillance is wrong. No, it's that I should be the one doing it, okay? And then he's saying prices are out of control. Well, in those societies, right? In those societies, we had nothing on the shelves, right? We had a scarcity, but he's okay with that, right? So he's okay with scarcity. All right, he's okay with scarcity. He's okay with millions and millions of people dying as long as he controls the surveillance state. He and his cronies control the surveillance state. He's willing to do that.
That's exactly right. That goes to the heart of leftism. They don't hate cops. They want to be the cops. It's not that they're anti-cop. They want to be the cops. That's the point.
That's right. And they can't have the society they ask for without some sort of enforcement, some sort of violent enforcement. They can't have it. It's not possible. Okay, so what he's saying is that this is why it appeals to people, right? It appeals to sort of like people with no understanding of history, a totally ahistorical worldview. This is why it appeals, because people look and say the surveillance state is bad. I mean, the surveillance state is so much worse in other parts of the world than it is in the US. And we can critique the surveillance state here. We can say, hey, is this good or is it not? We should have that debate. We should continually have that debate about what level of surveillance should be allowed and what shouldn't be allowed, in a free society. We should have that debate. But he's implying here that he's against it. And that's obviously a lie. It is obviously a lie. He wants the surveillance state. He wants to control it. He wants his friends to control it. And he wants to be able to imprison his political opponents. That's what he wants to do. And he's very clear when he says that the fall of the Soviet Union was a disaster, or that Mao Zedong was one of the great leaders. He's clearly saying, this is okay with me. It just depends on who is able to do it.
Right. And he's not anti-imperialist either, because he supported the USSR, not Russia before the USSR. He explicitly supported the USSR. So he's an imperialist, just as long as it's for the people that he agrees with.
That's right. And let me make a prediction beyond this. Sorry, you want to
everyone short, and then we'll do some pictures. Okay. Go on.
Okay. Let me make a prediction, okay, beyond this. If Hassan Piker gets his way, okay, if he gets his revolution, he will be a casualty of that revolution.
1,000%.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
He will be, because there will be a point where power is consolidated and Hassan Piker is no longer useful.
That's what always happens. That's just the historical record.
Yeah. So it's easy to be a dissident in a free society.
Exactly.
Okay, but you cannot be a wild card and a loose cannon once power is consolidated.
Yep.
I will also say,
Shauna wants to get in.
Yeah, just really quick. Also, who is he popular with? If we want to look at what I've read about his demographics, it's actually largely upper middle class and upper class white women around my age and a little bit older. Like it's like 35 to 55 age range.
Imagine my shock.
I know we need to be stopped.
Repeal the 19th,
right? Yeah. Well, at least for them. I don't know. They kind of go gaga weird over him. I know where the framework comes from. He's like a little bit exotic, which is kind of like fun for them. It's just how they are.
They are unironically attracted to him. It's actually
they are unironically attracted to him. But the reason why they are unironically attracted to him is because he sits at this weird cusp of being a little bit exotic, but not being so exotic that they feel like they're being fetishist. That's why.
Safe, noble, savage.
Safe, noble, savage. Exactly. And then he also appeals to what they were raised on. That was kind of the water that we swam in. I grew up in Seattle. I know those waters pretty well. I think if I hadn't been broke, I probably would have been exactly like them, if I'm being honest. But just like reality, I had to get jobs cleaning toilets, and that like humbles you and
changes your perspective on life.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, also I would like to point out though that even though he has some good looks now, he was a fat kid and he is getting fat again. And I think we should always bring up that he's starting to get really fat. And yeah,
we should point that out every chance we get. Absolutely.
Always point out that he's getting really fat.
And he has a small head.
Absolutely.
Okay, Guy, very, very short before we go to so super chats are piling up.
My understanding is from that discussion is that we should only allow black women to vote, right? That's what I'm getting at. What I'm getting from you. And
the majority of black women probably shouldn't be voting either. Oh, by the way, I'm just memeing. I'm memeing here.
We know.
Don't take me too seriously.
Okay.
Black women that own guns, they can vote.
Yeah, exactly.
and two, he's absolutely insecure about everything because he's a pathological liar, and he knows he's going to get caught. Like his dating things were also about how to lie to women to get them to sleep with you, because he used to be fat and then he became buff, and then he's like, oh, I'm so buff, I'm such a hot boy, that was his thing. He's still riding off of that essentially, and so I'm really glad he's getting fat, because he's going to lose a lot of influence when he's fat, because he's dumb. When you have to actually listen to what he's saying, not just be mesmerized by his eyes and beard or whatever, then you're gonna, oh wait, wow, this is stupid. That's what happened to Ethan Klein.
All right, so guys, we need to get to the super chats. We have 6. Sid, do you mind reading the super chats, because I'm monitoring a whole bunch of other things at the same time?
No problem.
Do you mind highlighting them and reading them? Thank you.
Okay, let me do that. Let's go. Okay, so should I start from the top or the bottom?
Yes.
Armin?
The top.
Okay, all right. So V for Vanquish.
No. Okay, so maybe I'll do it.
Yep. No. So no. I want Sid to learn. There's only the ones that are starred, because the ones that we already read, we unstarred them. So switched from
that one is starred.
Okay, so
no. There's a tab that's called starred.
Yeah, that's what I'm on.
Okay, sometimes it's glitchy when I unstar something, it doesn't unstar for.
Yeah,
so go
that one is starred.
Okay, unstar it, then go to the next one.
Okay.
Yes, go to the next one. We already read that.
Okay. Did we read this one?
No, go ahead.
Okay, Debbie Fuller, 5678. Thank you, Debbie Fuller. Every panelist, mod, and the audience own the current political landscape. Proud to be a member here. Like and share. Proud to have you here, Debbie. Thank you very much. Okay, let's unstar that one. Next is Stick and Beans, as Armin said.
Yeah.
I will say steaks and beans. For some people, only Islam can get them. Only Islam can get them get them to stop being useful idiots. But sometimes it is too late already.
Yes.
Yeah, sad but true. Thank you, Steaks and Beans.
Thank you.
Okay. George Lambert. Again, thank you, George. Looking forward to talking to you in the group later. Navy came from the Bretton Woods system. App. Okay, I'm not sure about app. I also think, I mean, I confess that I don't know the history that well, but I do believe that the Navy predated Bretton Woods by many, many decades. But maybe, yeah. But I can see why Bretton Woods would have incentivized significant.
Maybe in its current form
Yeah.
to protect that world order.
That makes perfect sense. So George makes a good point. Yeah. Okay. Next up is 40 Winks H5H. Thank you, 40 Winks. Trump admin briefs the U.S. Senate. Dems go to a back room with multi-million-dollar think tank. They quickly control the narrative with distorted talking points. Every Dem and MSN then attacks Trump via TDS. Yes, I mean, I do think that this is, I mean, this is, to be fair, like this is the kind of, spin and political posturing that really everybody who's in politics is engaged in some form or another.
Yeah.
So what my analysis is that there's a lot more at stake here. So that I think that, like, for example, somebody like Chris Murphy, like my suspicion is he doesn't really hate America, and he does, he may be deeply misguided, but he doesn't really hate America. But unfortunately, he gets his talking points from people that really do hate America. And so that's because those people who hate America have built up an infrastructure in order to deliver talking points to Chris Murphy, right? It's in such a way that they believe it because it's not challenged anyway. But anyway, I can go on forever. Sorry about that. 40 Winks, thank you so much for your contribution. Okay, next we have Charleston Amy. Thank you, Charleston Amy. Roses to A2 and all. I think A2 is Armin and Ali, right?
Yes,
thank you for the dedication to the most important fight in my Gen X lifetime. East versus West is no joke. Wake up, Gen Z. Couldn't agree more with Charleston Amy. And I think it's not just Gen Z. I mean, I think Gen Z is the most sort of doomer pilled, right? But unfortunately, it's like throughout the generations, we have a lot of people who uncritically buy anti-American, anti-Western propaganda.
Can I also, just say to that, they're so they're being blackpilled by their educational systems. So it's not even like it's fun to make fun of Gen Z. But I was watching a trigonometry interview. This was a while back about like a guy who goes and teaches like environmentalism, not like Green New Deal environmentalism, but like actual like why technology is good for the environment kind of environmentalism. And he talks to these college kids, and in this trigonometry interview, he's like they have no idea what the real metrics are. They think that they shouldn't have kids because the world is literally going to be ended in like 15 years. And he's like, and it's really just getting them back to a baseline of here's some data points so you can think a little bit more critically about what you're being fed. And that's where a lot of his work was. And so I do think that they are doomer pilled, but it's not entirely their fault because their educational systems have done that. And one of the reasons why is because we have the voting age of 18 rather than it being tied to owning property or something like that. We have this universal voting age of 18. That means that they just have very little data, and they like look at their metrics and they're like, well, it's shit now and it's just going to get worse. And that's usually not the case, but that's how you feel when you're 18 and, so.
Well, also, like Shauna, to your point, like when the public school system was being designed, like it was designed with that intent to capture kids as young as 5 years old, to get them into this indoctrination process as early as possible. And it's been wholly admitted by the person who was spearheading public education that that the explicit point of public education was for indoctrination. And it was bad enough when we were in school. Like, I'm a core millennial. I was born in 1990, right? So it's like I know that when I was going to school and learning about United States history, that it was that history, that the textbook was like really like anti-America. Like, we had to America had to apologize for how great we were, so I can even imagine how bad it is now for Gen Z, and how stressful it is to grow up thinking that America is so awful and that's all it's being shoved down your throat every day.
And it's worse for the smart kids. And here's why it's worse for the smart kids. Is the smart kids are the ones, by smart kids, I mean people who go and seek further learning and knowledge. Because when you go, like, I just think about when I was 17, I would go and read, like, these are your recommended reading lists. These are the classics that you have to read, blah, 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 blah. All of it's lefty. If you look at like recommended reading, it's all lefty stuff. It's all Howard Zinn. Everything's Howard Zinn. That's the only book on American history that 90% of these people have read. And then they read that when they're young and they get older and they don't continue to read because they're busy. I'm not even saying that that's a character flaw. I'm just saying that that's what happens. My reading has gone down as well. So it's a factor. They read Howard Zinn when they're 18 and then they never critically think again until there's a reason to, is a lot of what happens.
Yeah.
So they're being doomer pilled by their media.
Guys, we need to spend like we need to move on to the next super chat so that we could get to the other things as well. But great points.
Okay.
By the way, I have to go in less than 20 minutes.
Oh, we're gonna do. Damn it, because we were hoping that you could comment on this because we're doing this today. That's okay. Every time we're gonna do that, you're gonna leave. Okay. Anyways, so
I
let's
I always have to leave like up to 2 hours after the stream starts because I have
okay.
daughters. That's basically it.
Okay. Sorry. Well, yeah. Should have brought it in earlier.
So this is Katanong. I give credit of exposing Hassan Mao Shock Dog Piker to Nuxtaku. It's been a year of coverage, and Nux is tipping politicians to get Piker deported. Yeah, so I do think that Nux has been very effective at putting some challenge into the discourse. He has his own way of doing it, which is highly amusing and entertaining. And you have to do that because that's the arena, right? The arena is social media performance art. And it's good to see that there's some diversity of thought in the social media performance art.
Nuxtaku is absolutely peak. Everybody should go subscribe to him. Subscribe to the Blue Jew. I bigly support the Blue Jew for sure.
Okay, and last comment I wanted to highlight is this one. Lior saying, please don't forget to like the stream. Thank you, Lior, for always having our back in the
really
chat.
Good point,
yes,
Lior.
please. Yes, please.
Thank you, Lior.
Thank you, Lior. All right, quickly before we go to the rest of this debate, quickly, I don't know if we have time for this one, because we saw Maria Nafal posting, Rubio is telling foreign countries the strikes are off until after the midterms. And then we had Joe Kent posting, by signaling to Iran that we won't strike them until after the midterms, while simultaneously increasing sanctions on them. We're essentially begging them to hit us so we have a justification for returning to the unpopular war. The purpose of a system is what it does: pull our troops and ships from the region and focus on economic pressure, stop gambling with American lives, escape the escalation trap. Thoughts?
How do you do economical pressure if you pull the troops away? The level of pressure you have right now isn't enough to get them to capitulate. You want less pressure than actually having literally the troops there to close the strait? Is that what you're saying? You're saying, okay, economic pressure is good, so we need to defeat the Islamic Republic. So you admit that, but you think you can just do it with regular, like off-the-shelf economic pressure, even if the current pressure that's way higher than anything that's ever been done hasn't got them to stop yet? Like if you think you can, okay, so now we have extreme economic pressure, and you're saying that what's going to happen with this extreme economic pressure is that they're going to shoot you. So what you're saying is, okay, so let's pull the troops back so we have economic pressure that's less, and that way we'll win. That way we'll get them to capitulate. Is that what you're saying, Joe Kent?
I don't. So this doesn't make sense to me because I don't know what signal he's talking about that we won't strike until after the midterms.
That's
I
what he's
don't
quoting.
Well no, I just mean I don't understand it because like he's saying that he's suggesting that the administration needs an excuse to start kinetic strikes again. The administration started kinetic strikes in February without permission from anybody, from the public, right? And continue doing it in spite of, you know, whatever public backlash there was, right? So I don't think that Donald Trump waits for permission for anybody before enacting his agenda. So that to me like is kind of a throwaway line, and begging them to hit us. Like, hit us with what? They literally are incapable of hitting us. First of all, they're too afraid of Israel to even try and lob missiles at Israel anymore. Like, let alone try and hit us. Like that's nonsensical.
No,
What they'll do is hit the Arab countries around. They're not going to hit the Americans. They're going to hit the Arab countries. You can evacuate the bases if you're scared. Like, that's not a problem.
Which we already did.
Yeah.
They can do two specific things, though. They did do a cyber attack on Britain. So I don't think that they could cyber attack us, but they might try. I don't think it'll work, but I think they might try. They could also cyber attack one of our closer allies, meaning physically closer. They could also just send out for some jihadi internal attacks, or kind of soft signal that they want internal American terrorist sympathizers to go and do, and then take credit for that later. So those are very specific things that they could do. I am concerned about what they typically call an October surprise, which is basically they're going to hold off to do something. And by them, I just mean our enemies more broadly. I don't mean the Islamic Republic specifically, to kind of get people to change their vote at the last minute. So that is something that I've heard some commentators talk about, and that I'm like, well, that's something we should keep in mind. However, I also think that Joe Kent is a ISO cuck and a traitor. So
very true.
So I want to say that all of that is true, which is so it's a good thing that you have plausible force abilities there, because again, he's suggesting you still pressure Iran, you just do it less effectively. So like, they'll still do cyber attacks, they'll still threaten all the countries in the region and in Europe. They'll just do it with less fear of what's going to happen to them if they attack. That's all that's going to happen. Like, none of that. What Joe Kent is saying is absolutely nonsensical. There, one thing is to say, well, we shouldn't be fighting Iran anyway. That's one thing. But if that's not what you're saying, if you're saying that we should apply sanctions and we should pressure them, then you're just gonna do it less effectively with what you're suggesting, without saving, without meaningfully helping Americans. Now, to be fair to him, like the idea that by signaling to Iran that we won't strike them until after the midterms, I do think that this is a calculation that Trump might have, because like, if they strike us, then we have to strike them. That's not going to make Trump unpopular. But if Trump initiates the attack, then that can lead to displeasure in the U.S. I still think it's going to be temporary displeasure, because once this war is over, if it's as huge of a success as it currently looks like it's going to be, then everyone is going to say, "Oh, I was always for the war. I always thought it was a good idea." It's going to be the reverse Iraq.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, we need to move to this. Hopefully we could get some comments from Guy before he leaves on this one. We left last time in the 6-minute mark, so let's I'll play it and you guys could. Yep.
Maybe we can do the video I sent you first. It's 2 minutes. It does not. It doesn't need much commentary. I think it's worth.
Okay. Let me do that first.
Okay. So I also think this would be a good thing to clip. So, oh no, not this one. No, the one above that. This one does take some commentary. I sent you two.
Okay, bring it up.
This is a great one. I'll probably do it in one of my streams. Yeah. So this is. So before you play it. So people often talk about the river to the sea. Oh, we need to free Palestine from the river to the sea. So people have gone to Palestinians in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, and asked them, what does the slogan from the river to the sea mean to you? What's going to happen once Palestine is free to the Jews?
Okay, so I'm going to play
let's watch. Yeah.
When Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
لما فلسطين تتحرر من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
راح نموت يعني راح نرتاح نشوف حياة أحسن.
They're gonna die. It's gonna be better. We're gonna have a better life.
Can they stay?
ممكن يضلوا؟
No. When Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
Are we breathing?
Yes.
Okay. لما تتحرر فلسطين من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
اكيد مش رايحين موجودين ان شاء الله على اراضي فلسطين يعني.
شو رايك روان؟
اكيد رايحين يطلعوا يعني. كل حدا رايح يرجع بلده. كل يهودي رايح يرجع بلده رايح يرجع لبلده.
They won't be here when Palestine is free.
When Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
لما فلسطين تتحرر من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
Palestine is free from river to sea, what happens to the Jews?
هذا السؤال من برا، الناس حابة تعرف. لما تتحرر فلسطين من النهر للبحر شو بصير في اليهود؟
شو بصير في اليهود؟
شو بصير في
فيش يهود يوم بدها تتحرر. ما في يهود اصلا. يوم بدها تتحرر بدهم يطلعوا من عندنا طبعا.
There won't be any Jews when it's liberated.
So the way it's phrased, when they say there won't be any Jews, both the people didn't say explicitly kill. Like the way it's phrased implies it's not that they won't they'll move. One of the women I think implied moving, like being sent away. But the other two people who said there won't be any Jews didn't mean there won't be any Jews present here. They mean there won't be any Jews.
Yeah.
So what answers would you get? This is in Judea and Samaria, so-called West Bank,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
What answers would you get if you ask this from Arabs, Israeli Arabs, on average? Israeli Muslim Arabs.
It depends. Way less, obviously, than what they get there because they're not indoctrinated by UNRWA. There are some that would hold these positions. I don't know the percentage, and also it depends on if you ask them what they secretly think, or if you ask them to say something publicly. Publicly, they'll have to something like skirt the line, say, "Oh no," they'll probably avoid the question. And I think people have strong opinions in both directions if they're asked off the record. So it'll be muddy on the record. Off the record, some people will be like these guys, and some people will be.
And in contrast to that, Israelis who want a one-state solution, right? What do they say about the people in Gaza and Judea Samaria? What do they want to happen to them?
So the people in Gaza is a bit of a different story after October 7th, because a lot of the people who did October 7th were civilians. And so a lot of people are now, it's not about forcing them out, but since a lot of them want to leave, the sentiment is just allow them to leave. That's a much better solution than whatever would happen if we're stuck here together. As far as Judea and Samaria go, most people like what's called transfer, which is a removal of the population. Again, not a killing of the population, but a removal of the population, is considered a fringe far right solution. So I would say less than 20% of Jews. I would comfortably say less than 20% of the Jews hold that position. Probably around 10. I would say that's transfer. That's not the genocidal things that these guys want. I think the most popular position on the right, like the left would also go for a two-state solution. because they trust the Palestinian Authority, I think wrongly. But on the right, the Emirate solution, which is to say give large cities autonomy and be like under Israel's umbrella, join the Abraham Accords, acknowledge Israel as a Jewish state, and have your own economic and cultural connections with the Israelis, but you have your own autonomy so you can run your own area. I think that's the most popular solution nowadays. Or let's say that leftward, that or something that's even more given Palestinians authority would be like 70% of the population probably holds that kind of position.
Guy, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So what about the position, I've heard Goldie talk about this, so I'm curious. The position of Judea and Samaria belong to the Jews, and that the Gazans should just be transferred to Jordan or Lebanon. How does that position have any popularity in?
That's what I meant by transfer. That's the transfer solution. It's considered far right for the most part in Israeli discourse.
Okay.
It's becoming, since October 7th, people are more open to it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still not by any means the consensus. Whereas for Palestinians, there is a poll. I'll see if I can quickly find it. There's a poll that says essentially that what do you think for those who support the two-state solution, why do you support it? And like I think 2/3 of them are like it's a great middle step. So yeah, so you can understand why people might be hesitant to trust the Palestinians. Yeah.
Well, okay, I have 2 points on this. One, and this is harsh, but I genuinely think that there's a lot of the people in there that probably just don't need to be on Earth. They need to be transferred to Jesus. Sorry.
Or Satan. Either or.
I don't care. But yeah, transferred to, another realm. I'm sorry, but like I think that if you participated in October 7th, then your right to life is kind of forfeited. That's where I stand on that.
So Shauna, we're talking about the terrorists, okay? So just be careful with
the people who participated. That's what I mean. Yeah, specifically the people who participated
in October 7th?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry to clarify. That's what I mean. But I know that a lot of those people are still in there, and
that's not even a radical view, Shauna. But
some people think it is.
Some people have not watched the 47-minute video.
That's true.
Yes, but even with the views that I agree with, we have to be very, very careful on how we express it for you to.
I have to go. Like I said, it's going to be a quick circle out. I got to go. We're moving our bed. Oh. I'll be back if I can. Bye.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye, Shauna.
Bye,
Shauna. Okay. Can I chime in on this one?
Yes, of course. Yeah. But wait, Sid, you don't need to ask permission. You are in charge actually. So go ahead. You're going to be the. You're going to be the host.
You. I see.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah. So I believe this is from Corey Gil-Schuster, right? This is his content.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So my guess, Guy, and I'm not sure. My guess is that this is actually several years old.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. So if anyone thinks like this is something to do with Gaza, it has nothing to do with Gaza. Okay. This is
no. It's nothing to do with Gaza.
So I was just basically Gaza didn't happen when these interviews were conducted. It's important for people to know that. Okay. So that this is not a reaction to any current conflict.
And it's not a French view either,
so,
right?
No. But this is exactly the point, right? This is exactly the point. So a couple of people say, like, why isn't this reported on? Well, so this is actually old news, right? This is actually old news, and this is the issue: is that it's just like they can say this with incredible confidence that their perspective will not be brought to Western audiences. It will be denied to Western audiences so that they don't understand the conflict. That is the reason why. You cannot know this, okay? Because solidarity with the Palestinian movement depends on a totally different framing than the Jews should be eliminated and exterminated. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my frustration. I encourage people to understand the conflict, and I know that people who understand the conflict will not always share my perspective. I recognize that. My problem is that they are being lied to, and I think in many ways they are demanding to be lied to, so that when they wave the Palestinian flag, they can feel moral. They can feel morally righteous. This is a real reflection of the conflict. Okay, it's a real reflection of the conflict because the Palestinian national movement, so much of it is exterminationist by design at its core, in its DNA. It's exterminationist. Now the question is, what kind of negotiation can you have? What kind of compromise can you have with an exterminationist movement? Kill half of them, kill a quarter of them. Will that be okay? You know, maybe okay, you want to kill us all. Yeah. We will, maybe would you accept half? So this is the absurdity of it. Now, the issue is, if there's ever going to be a peaceful resolution, this has to change. This has to change. And there is zero pressure on them to change it. On the contrary, they are being enabled and encouraged to have this kind of sentiment. Knowing that it will delay any kind of peace, any kind of prosperity for them.
This is very I find this very helpful because I've always wondered ever since October 7th. I'm like, how is it that American liberals can go out into the streets with so much confidence and defend the human rights of the Palestinians when I've seen a handful of images, because I'm a coward. I don't have the heart to look at the more graphic videos and images from October 7th. I just can't. I don't have the constitution for it. But I'm like, at no point do these people protesting in support of Palestine have any consideration for the 1,300 people that were the women and children that were brutally raped and mutilated, and like it's just but when you put it that way, it's like, oh, of course they don't care, because that's what they actually want. So it's not, there is no hypocrisy. It's like, that is their position. They want that to happen. So of course they're advocating for this.
Right.
Okay. So I have to go.
Okay. Sorry.
So I want to say a couple things first, and then you can continue reacting to this. One, I don't think you need to watch it. It is traumatizing. There's the descriptions, like we talked about in a couple of streams ago. Like, they put a live baby in a microwave while their mother watched. Like, you don't need to see this. The people who are against Israel, morally, they're obligated to see this. Because if you are against Israel, you need to understand what Israel is fighting. Now, Armin, I sent you another picture. Can you quickly bring it up? I'll talk about it very briefly, and then I have to go.
Okay, give me a second. Imagine being that mom having to watch
humanity.
Imagine being that mom having to watch that.
Yeah, no, it's the less you think about it, the better. We should not talk about it beyond, like, people can have their own thoughts after I said this. This is something that happened. This is the level of brutality and sadism that was on display. And the less we talk about it, the better, because it's traumatizing enough just thinking about it. So this is a graph. I don't know, it's probably too small. Can we actually just do a screen only in a way that, okay, there we go. Good. West Bankers' responses to what is your personal opinion about what should be the top Palestinian national priority during the coming 5 years. This is, if you look at the chart, it's from like go a bit lower. Okay, so this is from 2017 to 2020. Okay, as of 2020, which is the year this poll was put out, 66% said regaining all of historical Palestine for the Palestinians from the river to the sea. We already saw what this means. Okay, 66%. And the next one, so this is West Bank. The other one is Gaza. The second one is Gaza. It's similar. It's like 58%. Okay, so 2/3 of the Palestinians think that over the next 5 years, their focus should be on from the river to the sea. And we just saw what your everyday run-of-the-mill Palestinians understand by that phrase. This is the Palestinian national movement. It's not a constructive movement. It's a destructive movement. It's an anti-Israel movement. It's the Jews should not have sovereignty in this land. Because they're Jews, because they should be subservient to Muslims. That's where it started. And that's where it's going. And the reason the UN is funding bodies like UNRWA, who brainwash children to believe in this ideology, is because the UN is largely controlled by people who have this kind of mindset about Jews because of the vast number of Islamists that have a say in what the UN does. People say that like criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. The thing is that the criticisms that you are fed are lies, and the reason there's this much lies about Israel is because Israel is the land of the Jews. So it's not immediately anti-Semitic. It's just that the framing that you are getting, that you are being fed, is based in anti-Semitism, is fueled by anti-Semitism. Okay, so, and with that,
before you go, can you guess 2 super chats because it's relevant to everything you're saying?
Yes.
Can you read them and respond to them quickly?
Yes. So Stick and Beans is saying that is why right-wingers in Israel are saying all along there are no innocents and not involved people in Gaza nor in Judea and Samaria. Yeah. So when you talk, I mean, it goes a bit far. Like Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib is an innocent person, and he was in Gaza. There are some innocent people in Gaza. Unfortunately, Ahmed Fouad al-Khatib, who is an actual peace activist, Palestinian peace activist, who has a constructive project that he's promoting, is not representative of the Palestinian movement. If he was, there would already be peace. I wish he was the president of the Palestinian movement, but he is incapable of being the president of the Palestinian movement because that's not what the Palestinian movement is. And so it's not that there aren't. Yeah.
Can I just jump in there for 1 second? Because Al-Khatib, right? So he's somebody that I follow and that I occasionally disagree with. But I am quite confident that he's sincere about peace. And that's what's so rare. What's so rare. In this conflict, looking at the other side, it's the video that we saw that's more representative of the modal perspective of the Palestinian, not just the people on the street, but also the politicians. The way they talk is often eliminationist, right? So
yeah.
there's very few. There are some.
I have
but
to go in a couple minutes,
sorry.
So I need to get through the next super chat. So when Steak and Beans continues with Rav Kahana was right, you can't deny it now. So here's the thing, Kahana, I think Meir Kahana, was largely excommunicated from Israeli society because of his positions that were largely what people imagine Israelis' positions are. Ben Gvir recently was interviewed and he said, I don't believe Kahana was right. Kahana had like a transfer. He essentially said peace is impossible between the river and the sea. And people, like when people say Kahana Tzadak, Kahana was right, this is what they're talking about. But he also had other positions about like Jewish supremacy that everyone rejected. And even Ben Gvir, whatever he thinks in his head, he knows that he can't go to the public and say that he thinks Kahana was right. And that tells you where Israelis are. Israelis are not as extreme as to say we should transfer all Palestinians, because if they were, then Ben Gvir would be able to get votes by saying that. But he has to at least pretend to be moderate, to have moderated over the years. Maybe he has, but at the very least, he has to pretend that that's the case to get votes. And even though people now agree that a lot more people agree, and this is, I assume, what Steak and Beans is saying, that peace is impossible with the Palestinians. The rest of the sentiments of like Jewish supremacy and things that people assume Israelis have believe, not only were they not true then, and he was excommunicated, and when he would stand up in the Knesset, people from all the political sides would walk up and walk out. Even now, after there has been some movement rightwards, the most right-wing party in Israel, Otzma Yehudit, refuses to say that they stand with him. So that's the gap, that's the chasm between what the Palestinian national movement is and what the Jewish national movement is. Because the Jewish national movement is constructive. And unfortunately, when you are constructive and you're not ashamed of your identity, and people try to kill you and murder you in the most vile ways possible, which they have done on numerous occasions in the history of Jews living in this land, like the Hebron massacre, for example. So if people think this is just the occupation, the Hebron massacre happened in the 1930s.
1929.
Yeah, sorry, 1929. But well before Israel existed. Then you have to defend yourself, and this is self-defense, because when people they're weak, but them being weak doesn't make them right. Them being weak just makes them weak. But if they were strong, they would do October 7th to everyone here, to every Jew living in Israel, and every Arab who refuses to go along with the plan to do this to every Jew. And that is the reality that Israelis have to deal with, because for us, the threat level is very real. After October 7th, a lot of people truly think that fundamentally their life here is brittle and in danger, and not only in danger, but it's not just dying, it's dying in the most horrific ways you can imagine.
Yeah.
By people who are next to us that the world is siding with. Yeah.
Thank you, Guy.
Thank
that
you,
was
Guy.
a really good answer. That was perfect. Thank you for sharing all of that.
That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll bid you adieu. And I will do probably either next week or the week after that, after I move, I'll do a stream talking about
guys, stop touching
a bunch of resources like this.
Before you say that, stop touching your microphone stand. Okay, but go on, say that again.
Either next week or more likely the week after that, I'm going to do a stream, either alone or with someone else. We'll see. Maybe Sid if he's up early enough, where we go through a bunch of these things that are unequivocal about what Israel is, what Palestine is, and what justice looks like in this conflict.
I need to be a part of that stream. Please send me an invite. I don't care if I have to get up at 5 a.m.
Okay. So Armin, create the Telegram group and we'll figure it out.
Yes. Guys, make sure, it's going to be on Guy's channel, so the link is in the description. Guys, now Guy is at 854. You saw how amazing he is, so please make sure you subscribe to his
Show
channel.
him more love. Get Guy to 1,000.
Yes, get him to 1,000. Link is in the description. Oh, Siggy Means with another super chat.
Yeah, so I need to respond to this.
Okay.
By God, Guy, you're so PC. I don't know what people you hanging out with. Around here, 90% of people are so right-wingers and very Rav Kahanist now after October 7th, and so many Israelis
read it properly because
okay, sorry. Yes. Okay. You said this to me already? Okay. By God, Guy, you are so PC. I don't know what people you're hanging out with. Around here, 90% of people are so right-wingers and very Rav Kahanist, and now after October 7th, so many Israelis stopped being PC. And I'll explain what I mean. So being Rav Kahanist is several things. Kahana, the position when people say Kahana Tzadak, usually they mean we can't coexist with the Palestinians. And as I said, many more people now hold this position. Kahana had other views that most people disagree with. And I think that's still true after October 7th. And a lot of the people who say Kahana Tzadak don't actually know everything that Kahana stood for. And it could also be that I'm wrong, right? But from my understanding of what Kahana stood for. And I happen to know that you are in Judea and Samaria. So you have also a selection bias in the people you're around and people you speak with. And like, if you look at opinion polls and at what the actual electorate is like, Ben Gvir is the most right-wing party in Israel. He gets less than 10 seats, according to the polls. Even the Channel 14 polls, like it doesn't matter which poll you look at, he doesn't go past 10. And even he refuses to say Kahana Tzadak. And I think that says more about the broad Israeli society than whatever people you might be talking to. I'm not talking I don't discuss Kahana with people on a day-to-day basis, but just looking at the actual data that we can glean things from, Kahana, the totality of what Kahana says is not a popular position. There are things that Kahana said that might be. For example, we can't coexist with the Palestinians. I think more people after October 7th are now understanding this. But yeah. Okay, so, and with that, I will bid you adieu.
Goodbye, guy.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you so much for bye.
Bye, Guy.
That was great, guys. Everybody, make sure you subscribe again to Guy. Let me see. Did that increase? Let me see. Okay, we got one more. Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
All right, guys,
Keep
keep
going, and I'll
subscribing.
turn this into a clip. I'll upload it to my channel as well. Just this portion.
Awesome. Okay, fantastic.
All
All right,
Armin?
thank you. Yeah, yes. But before you say anything, Elisa, before Sid, you're blurry, and I don't know if you're reading the private chat because I told you in the private chat that you're blurry. So if you could fix that.
Why am I blurry?
And go.
Sorry. Maybe I know why. Hold
So
on.
Elisa, yes, Elisa, go ahead.
Okay, 30 seconds. Everybody, if you're not already in the discussion group, can you please either click the link or scan the QR code, join the discussion group? Because as a Christian, I'm very much interested in this sort of Palestine narrative, right? Because so the thing is that I spend a lot of my time in the New Testament because I'm a Christian, and not as much in the Old Testament. So I've been working to correct that. And earlier this year, I read Genesis all the way through for the first time in my life. And when I read Genesis, I was like, hold up a minute. Because, you know, all of the stuff about how, like, you know, the Palestinians have always been there and blah, blah, blah. But then I read about Abraham and I read about, you know, how he paid the shekels to buy the land in Hebron where he buried Sarah, and Abraham is buried there, and Isaac and Jacob are buried in Hebron. And all this, and I'm like, what? And then when I go to do an internet search or to ask AI about the history of Palestine, the history has been manipulated so thoroughly that I keep on getting the same propaganda about Palestine has always existed, Palestinians have always been there. And I'm like, but that's not what the Bible says. And I know that the Bible is true. So, you know, it's the math ain't mathin'. So I know we don't have time to talk about this right now because we're going to cover the video, but come to the discussion group because I'm going to ask that question again in the discussion group. So please join us there.
Okay. Yes, guys, the link. So Elisa would be there. Sid would be there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that.
Yes, the link is in the. It's interesting because me and Sid are not Christian, so we would like to see. You can see the Christian perspective and the non-Christian perspective in this, right? Because the link is in the description and the link is in the QR code. Thank you, Elisa, for reminding people of that. We got another super chat by Sticky Beans saying, yes, Ben Gvir is a politician. Of course, he said it. Yeah, so what Guy was saying is that given that as a politician, that's the narrative that you have, that's the narrative that works. It shows that the Israeli population are not that radical. Which makes sense. Our guys' arguments make sense. And thank you, Sticky Beans, for all the support. Also, Amir was asking me, Armin, can you tell me when in history we looked for good people in our enemies? All the time. All the time. In fact, that was one of the number one ways to win. To find people in your enemies that are good to join your side. In fact, here's an example. This guy was a Nazi. I don't know how to pronounce his name. There's a movie about him. Operation Valkyrie or something with Tom Cruise. Klaus von Stauffenberg, I think. Yes, he was a Nazi. He was. Let me see. So he's a Nazi army officer and an aristocrat who led the military resistance against the Nazi regime during World War II. He planned a bomb in Adolf Hitler's Wolfslayer conference room during the July 20th, 1944 assassination plot, Operation Valkyrie. After the coup failed, when Hitler survived, Stauffenberg was arrested and executed by firing squad that same night. So yes, this is an example of a hero on the side of your enemies, right? And he sacrificed his own life to be able to try to end Hitler, and he paid the biggest price for it. So we have done that all the time. So anyways,
incidentally, I enjoyed that movie. I don't think it did very well, and it's kind of considered sort of like only for the Tom Cruise completists, but I thought it was an entertaining watch.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's continue it here. Let's continue it. It's shame that guy is not here because I wanted to see his opinions in this, but let's continue. Maybe next time we could get to this part earlier.
The fruits of your money making money. I think it's okay. Like if we tax you at 7%, you're still gonna make what, a cool $30 million off your $1 billion. I think it's okay. They're gonna be okay, Jesse.
Yeah, I just don't like the idea of politicians like you capping how much money people make in America. That's just me. We can have the voters in Michigan decide. You say you want socialized health care.
Again, he's not making the point for why that is a bad thing. He says, I don't like it. Again, there's so many good points that Jesse Waters could have made for why this is bad and why this hurts people, but I don't like it. It just makes it seem like it's a matter of taste rather than utilitarian argument for how this affects people, because there's so much to work here with here.
Yeah.
Guys, just a reminder to people, we're on Jesse Waters' side and against Abdul. And a lot of people think that we're not because of the way we're criticizing the points that he's making. Just what it's like, oh, I just don't like it. Like it's not about liking it. It's about making an argument for why this is harmful. But go on, Sid.
I was going to say exactly that. Like, I think that there's a policy debate to be had here. About what policies are better for the American people, what policies are going to deliver more prosperity, more, better schools, better roads, safer streets, all of these things. That there's a policy debate to be had. And what I hear Jesse Waters saying is, in America, we can do whatever the fuck we want. And well, it's true. Freedom is good. And I want pro-freedom policies. But at the same time, the policies that Al Sayed is promoting have been shown over and over again not to produce the things that they claim to. So he can say, like, oh, it's no big deal if a billionaires, pay 7% or whatever. Like it's not going to really hurt them. But those policies don't deliver the good roads and the good schools and all of that stuff. All of that stuff is it's a ruse. And Jesse Waters really should be challenging him on how are these policies going to deliver on the things that you're saying. And if they're not going to deliver, then that's a problem. And I don't hear him saying that at all.
Oh, and it's also good to remind people of the point that Shauna made earlier about how, like, when right-wing pundits are reviewing this debate, like, they know that Abdul is full of shit. And so they're commenting on how, oh my God, this guy is such an idiot. Like, look, we can disprove everything that he's saying so easily, but they're skipping over the performance and how it reads, because he's speaking to the majority of an audience that's low info voters. So it's not convincing to right-wing pundits who are better educated or better informed. That doesn't mean it's not going to be convincing to people who have less information. And that's why it's important to go talk about this.
Yes. So Amy is saying he's a socialist, pure and simple. I mean,
Yes.
that's good enough. That's good enough for us, Amy. That's good enough for me. That's good enough for Sid. That's good enough for Alyssa. But it's not going to be a winning us anybody over if we just, for other people, it's not that simple for other people. And we need to make it simple for other people. And we need to find a way to make it more simple for them, because we're not gonna win this battle if we only make the points that convinces the people who are already convinced. We have to figure out a way to win other people over, right? Anyways, continue.
Abdul, how much is that going to cost?
It's going to cost the average Michigander a whole lot less than they pay right now. But I'm just going to tell you.
No, but what's the
I'm
price
up against
tag
a
of the
guy
program?
who voted to raise prescription drug prices 19 times, right? And so I'm just saying I want to bring your costs down. The price of the program is going to be substantially less for an everyday person who's out here who can't afford their health care and worried about losing their health care with their job.
Well, give me the total number.
Look, while you're out here trying to talk about the broader national budget, I'm a lot more interested in the everyday budgets that Michiganders are thinking about. And that's exactly the budget that Donald Trump and Mike Rogers are blowing up right now.
Well,
I just don't see why you're so on the side of the billionaires, Jesse, rather than on the side of everyday Michiganders.
No,
I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
So he's talking about healthcare being unaffordable. I'm sorry, I thought that we had Obamacare. I thought we had the ACA and that would fix it. That would make healthcare more affordable.
Yeah, I mean, if I was him, I would say like, well, I didn't do Obamacare. If I did it, it would be better, right? But also notice what happened here, right? So Jesse Waters is fixated on trying to show that he doesn't know the number, and that's one point, okay? But while he was waiting for demonstrating that one point, Abdul managed to make like, I don't know, 5 or 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8 points, right? And like Jesse Waters is waiting to show that he doesn't have this answer, and he's right, he doesn't have that answer, but he's sitting back and waiting for it. But Abdul just managed to use his platform while he's waiting for that to make 6 or 7 beautifully worded points that don't mean much because they're not enforceable. Like they can't, like he doesn't actually have a plan for making these things happen because it's impossible to do those things with his method. But he just used this big platform to make those points that sound pretty, while Jesse Waters is just investing, putting his eggs on, let me show the audience that he doesn't have this number. Like for example, if Jesse Waters wanted to make that point while he was speaking, like you should have interrupted him. Like, you're ignoring my answer. That's not my question. I'm not going to let you get away with this. Like, that's what he should have been more forceful. Like, do you know this number? Do you know this number? No, don't. I'm not interested. You're running away, Abdul. I can, like, hey, audience, please pay attention. He's not answering my question, and he's running away from my question because he doesn't have the answer. I'm not gonna. And every time he opens his mouth, like, I'm not gonna let you get away with not answer. Like, that's what he should have done, because he just sat back there and let him not answer his question and make 5 or 6 different points. But go ahead, Sid, you want to say something?
No, I agree with you. Let's keep going. I'm totally in agreement.
Okay.
I want you guys to blow the country up. Do you know how much the federal budget is now?
No, neither do I. Here's exactly
What's the federal budget?
You guys want to
stop asking.
You're the one running for
questions
Senate.
like that.
You're the one running for Senate. Never mind. Sorry.
No, but he's asking him questions, and he just lets him. He gives him an invitation to be like, not ignore his question, and like every time he asks his question, he pauses and he gives him an invitation to just give his own speech and ignore Jesse's question. Look at this. Like, just say like, oh, this is great. This is easy.
Do you know
Armin,
how much the federal budget is now?
Sorry, Armin, I remembered something earlier. Somebody made a good comment in the chat about how Jesse Waters his hands are tied by Fox News. There is some truth to that to a certain extent, right? Because it's like, as a news anchor, you do have left and right limits as far as how hard you can push back, what you can say, what you can't say. But
I don't know what the reason is, but this is working for Abdul. That's what I know.
Right, but no, I just think like it is a relevant point that he does have left and right limits on how hard he can push back. Also, somebody else said that his job is to interview, not necessarily debate. That I do have a quibble with, though, because if he was more competent at pushing back, it's like you can accomplish the interview and still push back against the way that Abdul is dancing around here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I starred that comment. I think this is it, right? Jesse job is the interview guy, not necessarily refute everything. So, I mean, I think that's fair. But what Jesse Waters is doing here is he's doing a hostile debate, hostile interview, right? He's trying to push buttons, and it's definitely contentious. I just think he's doing a bad job of it. So, yeah, there is a different form of interviewing where you just let them hang themselves. And I've seen those kinds of interviews before, and they can be quite effective. But Jesse Waters is what he's doing is a kind of like this is kind of like I don't know, it's like kind of like a cockfight, you know, So at least Jesse Waters appears to be doing that, much more than Abdul in this case. But I don't think that he's scoring points. I don't think that he's landing strikes, and that's why I find it so ineffective.
Okay, let's continue.
No, neither do I. Here's exactly
What's the federal budget?
You guys want to, right? P. Hexeth,
Hey,
who used to
Abdul,
work
answer
for
the
your
question. Do you know
channel,
what the federal budget
wanted
is?
to raise. No. I just want to talk about this. Look, you want to talk about budgets? I'm happy to do that. The guy who used to work on your channel, I think he was like the 6th host.
So Jesse Waters should have shouted here. You don't know. You don't know. You should have shouted that. If you wanted to do a God show, at least do it. At least commit to it.
The 5. He wanted to raise our military budget to $1.5 trillion, and you don't seem to be upset about that. What? So we could fight a war we don't know how to get out of? To raise our gas prices $5 a gallon? That doesn't make sense to me, Jesse. We want to talk about the things that we actually should spend on.
I have a feeling, Abdul, you don't even know how much money the government spends every year. Do you know?
There you go.
Look, the question, Jesse, to me.
All right,
is,
so you don't know. Let me tell you what it is. It's $7
There we go.
a year.
Finally.
There we go. Fine. Okay, he did it. Okay.
And your plan,
Jesse,
to take over the
I can tell you
healthcare system
that is secondary.
$4
And
trillion.
here's the problem with it. So to exactly your point,
I mean,
do you know what?
I'm not very good at math. I don't think you're very good at math either, but go ahead.
Clearly you don't. And you don't seem to care. But I don't think most Americans want to spend that much money on military escapades so that the folks stranded on the USS Abraham Lincoln can't even get a sausage for breakfast. I just think that we could do a lot better with our money, Jesse, and I think that's where you and I tend to disagree.
I just disagree.
Mike Rogers agrees with you.
I think
Look at this. He's Abdullah is showing himself to be the patriotic one, caring about American troops. He's saying you guys spend so much on the military, but you can't even get food for our soldiers. I care about our soldiers and not sending them into wars that you can't even support them. Like he's doing a very clever job. He knows the audience at Fox News. So like I'm gonna go on Fox News and show myself to be a bigger patriot than these conservatives. That's his plan.
First of all, that story about the Abraham is bullshit. Like sailors are getting fed, but that's kind of besides the point, right? Because once again, he's meandering way off from the original point of the budget, right? Of the spending. So once again, like Jesse, I think that. So we saw how Jesse eventually got to nailing him on the you don't know, but he's taking too long. So it's so Jesse seems to he'll make the point eventually. He needs to be quicker. Like he's letting him ramble off into La La Land for way too long, as opposed to just grabbing him immediately and yanking him back to the point.
Every time he doesn't answer his question, like answer my question, and when he says like I'm here to say this, you're gonna let me make my point. You're like, no, you're here to answer my questions. That's the point. Because Abdul is gonna make it seem like, oh, you're interrupting me. You're not gonna make me let my point. If I was just we were like, you're not here to just make a speech. You're here to answer my question. I'm not gonna let you come use my platform to make your own speech.
Right.
You either if you don't answer the question that I'm asking you, I am going to interrupt you. Because that's the point of you being here. That's what I would say if I was Jesse Waters.
Right.
All right.
If you spend $4 trillion, everything else is going to get really expensive. You're going to look back at Bidenflation, and you're going to wish you were back there. But you brought up foreign policy.
You want to talk about inflation? I'd be happy to talk about inflation. Jesse, you actually said the word. Because everywhere I go,
like he's being controlled by Abdul. Like he's moving on to something, and Abdul is like, "No, let me pull you back in." And then Jesse goes silent. He's letting Abdul control the discussion.
I just think that we could do a lot better with our money, Jesse, and I think that's where you and I tend to disagree.
I just disagree.
Mike Rogers agrees with you.
I think if you spend inflation, and you're going to wish you were back there. But you brought up foreign policy.
You want to talk about inflation? I'd be happy to talk about inflation. Jesse, you actually said the word. Because everywhere I go in Michigan, people are talking about the fact that they've never had to worry as much about life being as unaffordable as they say right now. Now, I get it. Donald Trump likes to blame everything on his predecessor. But let's be clear, this is Donald Trump's economy right now. And he's about to make everything so much worse because he's in a vanity war with the Prime Minister of Canada. And look, like, I'm in Michigan and you're from New York, right? So you know Canadians, man. They're the only people I know who apologized before they even did his thing. So now
that's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
What do Canadians have to do with New York? What?
I mean, he's representing Michigan. But he's basically saying President Trump is like wasting our relationship with other countries, going out and needlessly starting economic wars with them, which leads to inflation. So he's talking about inflation. His point is that going on economic war with our allies like Canada causes inflation. That's his point. That's his point.
I will say,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I said Canadian, even Canadians who are the nicest people in the world, he's saying like we're going even after them. Like, look how crazy the president is that he's going even after Canadians and causing all of this inflation because of that. That's what his point is.
Yeah, I'll give the boomer audience of Fox News a little bit of credit. I do think that this line is so absurd that even like right-wing boomers will probably just hand wave this away because what that line there is just patently absurd.
Yeah, but the thing is that this gets clipped and shared everywhere outside of Fox, right? Like if you go see the views on this on social, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube reviews, it's like this is getting a lot of attention. So you might be like, oh, this is for just a Fox audience, so we're safe with it. It's not true. This is going viral because for a lot of Abdul's supporters, this was like an ass whooping. Like he went to the lion's den and he came out winning. So you have to understand that the audience is so much bigger than Fox News. I mean, from their perspective.
Fair point,
guys. Yeah,
raising the tariff to 50%. What's that going to do to inflation?
Yeah, what is spending $4 trillion going to do? I think it's going to make it a lot worse. But you brought up the war. Are you glad the Ayatollah is dead?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a terrible person, but that's beyond the point. The bigger
he actually answered it.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he answered it.
Huh. And also see how much more clever he is than other people that refuse to do that. He's like, let me just give them, like he answers it and then he moves on to something else.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. So he's like, look, he was a terrible person. I'm glad he's dead, but I want to only spend 10 seconds here and then I'm going to move to something else. Guys, you have to understand this is the final boss. Okay, like do not underestimate your enemy. These people know what they're doing. Do not underestimate. I know they're our enemy, but you cannot just dismiss all of them as crazies because this is pretty smart. This is slimy but smart.
Yeah, and there are a lot of crazies and who have made fools of themselves in interviews. Yes. Even relatively friendly center left interviews. I've seen some sort of DSA types really make fools of themselves, and that's not what El Sayed is doing at all. He's getting his points out, and in many respects he's making Waters look stupid. And this is what's happening. There's a trial and error. Like, what messages? How can we sell these socialist ideas to a greater chunk of the population? El Sayed is I think honing in on some lines, right? On some talking points that work.
Yeah, I mean, if he came out and said like we shouldn't have killed Ali Khamenei, some of you in the chat would see him as a bigger threat for defending. If he came out and defended Hamas and defended like the Islamic Republic, some of you in the chat would see like, oh my God, look at how dangerous this person is. He's transparently pro Hamas and pro IRGC. But that's not true. That would make him a less of a threat. Because they're easier to expose. Okay, this guy being sneaky like that, them being pro Ali Khamenei dying makes him a bit bigger threat. If you ask, I'm pretty sure if you ask him, do you condemn Hamas? I'm pretty sure he would say absolutely. and then he said, but don't, and then after but, then he will focus on crimes of Israel, right?
No, I've actually heard him say exactly that. Exactly that. I've heard him say it. I've heard him say it. He said Hamas is evil, Israel is evil. They're both evil.
Yeah, he makes a false moral equivalency. But you know what? I'm interested to see.
But my point is the person that says yes, Hamas is evil, but is more dangerous than the person that defends Hamas.
Yes.
But go on, Elisa.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Jesse might have redeemed himself a little bit by circling back to Hassan Piker, right? Because so he answered the question directly. Like, yeah, it's good that the Ayatollah is dead, but then that opens the door for Jesse to be like, well, what about this interview that you did with Hassan Piker, like who's a known rabid terrorist sympathizer, right? But we'll see if he gets there.
Yes, actually, you're right, because instead of Ali Khamenei, he's focused on Hamas, for example. Do you condemn Hamas? Mm-hmm. And then if you condemn Hamas, then he should bring Hassan Piker. That's a good strategy, Lisa. That's smart. He should have done that. Yes. Yes. We got a super chat from Amy. Amy saying, can we trade Washington State for Alberta? Sorry, Shauna.
Shauna's got to move again. Shauna's going to have to move again.
She just moved.
You're going to have to move to Alberta.
I know.
Why are you doing this to her? I don't think Shauna wants to be Canadian.
No, she won't be Canada anymore. Shauna will be living in Calgary, in American-occupied Calgary.
Oh, no.
Amir is saying they wouldn't usually say they would usually say not say absolute, just dismiss it to but Israel. Yes, they usually redirect. They just quickly tap and condemn and then move to but Israel. Exactly. I mean, he's doing something similar over here. Let me see.
To war in the first place. I mean, look, he was a terrible person, but that's beyond the point. The bigger question is, should we have gone to war in the first place? Look, I just want to be clear with you, right? I mean, I'm never going to defend the Iranian regime, but I am going to defend the idea that we probably shouldn't be fighting wars we don't know how to get out of. Oopsie, you go to war and you tell us that it's going to be a special military operation. That was in February. We're now in September almost, and we're still fighting the special military operation. I mean, it's not working for us, Jesse.
We're not really fighting
is exactly what happens when we've got a dunce in the White House who doesn't know what he's doing.
So you'd go back in time, you'd give them back their nuke program, you'd give them back their Air Force, their Navy.
No, I'd go.
He let him talk for way too long, man. Like go back a little bit to earlier. There was something he said that I wanted to latch on to.
I mean, it's not working now in September almost, and we're still fighting the special military operation. I mean, it's not working for us, Jesse.
We're not really
this
fighting
is exactly
it.
what happens when we've got a dunce in the White House who doesn't know what he's doing.
So you'd go back in time, you'd give them back their nuke program, you'd give them back their Air Force, their Navy.
No, I'd go
because the nuke program's buried under a mountain of rubble,
and we actually had nuclear containment.
Okay, pause.
Now, Jesse,
So earlier in his rambling, he was like, "Oh well, we shouldn't have gone to war in the first place." This is what frustrates me about Jesse Waters, because if I had been there, I would have pounced on that instantly. Like, we didn't start the war. We're finishing a war that started 47 years ago. You know, like there's easy wins like that, like all throughout here that Jesse is just letting go by.
Yeah. This is another one. Hit Turbine mentioned. When did Trump ever call this a special military operation? Why does this dipshit not nail him on that lie?
True.
So that is absolutely a lie, and that jumped out to me too. Hit Turbine. That is language that the Russians used to describe their war in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
It was never used in American context. So that's totally out of nowhere that he's pulling it out his ass.
Trump called it an excursion. I mean, you could at least use Trump's word.
Yeah, excursion. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, look, I understand selective memory about history, but we had a JCPOA that was well negotiated, that actually had nuclear non-proliferation far more securely than what we have right now.
That's not true. Like, I don't know if Jesse Waters is going to point that out. We now know that during the JCPOA, the Islamic Republic was enriching uranium, and we have audio leaked information from Fakhrizadeh. Fakhrobar This demonstrates that the Islamic Republic was aggressively moving towards building a nuclear bomb while the JCPOA was in effect, and the JCPOA only allowed the Americans to monitor certain nuclear sites within Iran, and the Islamic Republic was enriching uranium in places that were not being observed. That is fact, that is out there, that is available to anybody who does 5 minutes of research.
And they were enriching uranium to 60%. They also opened negotiations with Kushner and Witkoff saying, we have enough enriched uranium to build like 7 or 8 bombs or 9 bombs, something to that effect. Like, that's all on the record.
Yeah, but he would say that they weren't at 60% while the JCPOA was in effect, right?
But that's not true.
Because it is. I mean, in the areas where it was being observed, they were under 4%, and then when President Trump threw out the JCPOA, then they went up to 60%. Okay, but the main point is that that's all the places that you could observe them enriching uranium, because we now have evidence that they were enriching uranium in places that outside of the observation of the IAEA, in violation of the JCPOA, and that Fakhrizadeh, that's his name, Fakhrizadeh, said that the regime, there's audio messages of him saying that the regime is trying to make him is interested in is making him build a nuclear warhead, right? That's the point that people don't know, and everybody should know. Yeah. And again, if I say that, I don't know what he's going to say. He's going to say, according to whose intelligence? According to Israeli intelligence. That's what he's going to say. I know. I even know the responses, right?
Yeah.
We got a super chat saying, Stephen is saying, where have you all been? Waters has always been a pretty boy with a script. Okay.
True. That's true. That is true.
Okay. He's entertaining. And thank you for the super chat.
Right now, after having gone to war for the better part of 6 months.
Yeah, I like the fact that the nuke program is buried under a mountain of rubble. They can't even get access to it, but that's me. I think we'll figure it out. The thing you said about...
So let's just stop there. So
Sure.
Jesse, wait. I understand you're not good at math. I get that.
Like he's saying, sure, go ahead. Why are you letting him control you like that, Jesse?
Every fucking time, dude. Come on. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand why he's letting him get away with it. Every time he lets him
Yes.
get away with it. Why?
Yeah, whose show is this? This is Abdul's show. Oh my god.
Because even if you take into account his hands being somewhat tied by being on network TV, that doesn't, like, there's nothing that says that he can't exert more control over this conversation. Like, this is ridiculous.
About science, okay? Yeah. You understand that, like, nuclear material doesn't just go away because you buried it under a mountain of rubble. You understand they can still go back and bury it out, right?
Yeah,
That's not what he said.
From space.
Right.
So Jesse was saying that the nuclear material that the Islamic Republic has is now buried under like tons of rubble that the Islamic Republic doesn't have access to. So he's happy that President Trump did Operation Midnight Hammer.
Right.
Abdullah is saying, yeah, but the nuclear material is still there and the Islamic Republic can reach it. At some point, they're going to dig it out, right?
At which point I would be like, so is that what you want? You want them to go, like, are you advocating for that?
No. His point is that he doesn't want that. Abdul's point is that I don't want the Islamic Republic to have a nuclear weapon, and that's what the point of the JCPOA was. All right, but you guys Trump is responsible for now the Islamic Republic getting closer to a nuclear weapon, and the Operation Midnight Hammer didn't stop that because the enriched uranium is still over there. Right. If I was Jesse Waters, I would say, first of all, point out that the Islamic Republic was always interested in to get to nuclear weapon, and the JCPOA was not stopping that. Right, and that all of this demonstrates that the only way for us to stop the Islamic Republic from getting to nuclear weapons is to get rid of the regime, because there's no other way other than that. That's the only way. That's what I would say. Sid, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, but I agree with you basically, Armin. I think the subtext of what El Sayed is saying is that this war increased the risk of a nuclear Islamic Republic. That's the point that he's trying to make. I mean, I think, to me, like, I'm actually I'm more on Water's side in this one. Like, it's better that it's buried under rubble than, in a functioning facility. And that's because I think that the IR intended to advance its ideological agenda, whether America challenged it or not. Right. So that part of it is like, okay, yeah. So, if it's harder for them, it's better. I prefer it to be harder for them than easier for them. Mm-hmm. So I am, in this case, I agree with Waters' point here, but El Sayed is trying to make the argument that the war has increased the risk of a nuclear armed Islamic Republic.
So Amy in the chat is saying, never praise Abdul. People might mistake it as an endorsement. So how do we deal with this? Because we don't want to underestimate our enemies. We also want to recognize when our enemies are being clever, because if we don't, then we wouldn't be able to respond to them properly. But we also don't want our audience to think that we're endorsing them. So I don't know what is the best way to do that, right?
But this is a really useful exercise, right? Because it's like we have to. We all live around in proximity to people who think the way that Abdul think, or who are sympathize with his positions or agree with his positions. So it is a benefit to all of us to take him seriously, analyze what he's saying and how he's saying it, so that we can better formulate how to respond, how to counter, how to get inside the head of the enemy, really. This is it's worth our time to be doing this.
Yeah, 100%. Look, this stuff is dangerous, and the fact that El Sayed can become a candidate from a major party for U.S. Senate is itself, it should be very alarming.
Very alarming, because this guy's family supports Hamas. Financially, materially supports Hamas. He shouldn't even be in the country, and he's a legitimate candidate for Senate.
Yeah, exactly, right. So look, we have to be vigilant. We cannot be dismissive. We have to be vigilant. But we don't want these people to have influence, on our system, on our government, on our way of life. We don't want that, and we have to recognize that this is a part of a long-term process. Like Elisa was just saying, his mom was involved in these so-called charities that helped to fund Hamas
and his father-in-law.
Right. Yeah, and his father-in-law. So basically, this is exactly the issue. Look, this is the degree to which this infiltration has taken place, and so it's not just Ahmed. Okay, it's generations of people who have been finding ways to take advantage of us, right, to undermine our system, and El Sayed is just the apotheosis of this process. That's it. And the fact that he can get this close to the U.S. Senate is dangerous. It's extremely dangerous, and we have to take it seriously. And we have to be extremely vigilant. We have to be prepared, and we have to figure out how we're going to be better than them. We're going to have to figure it out. I don't think what Jesse Waters is doing is the best we can do. I think we're all saying that. Exactly. I don't think that's the best we can do. We need to do better. That's how dangerous it is. We need to do better.
Exactly.
So Amy was saying, but just be careful so people don't misunderstand what your position is. I think that's what you're saying. Yes. And one way, because people might drop in and thinking like, oh my God, these people are praising Abdul. One way to make that very clear, trying to make that very clear, is I have an Israeli and American flag behind me, in case people don't know what this flag represents. And we also have, this is the whole point of having the American flag and the Israeli flag and the lion and sun flag here, for people to not, take us out of context. I'm hoping that makes it more clear, right? So where our allegiances are. And yeah, Javid Shamir. Sid, you start this comment?
No, I didn't.
Oh
no, maybe I did. Sorry, maybe I did. Okay, this is Hit Turbine again. This interview perfectly illustrates the reasons why I do not watch faux, not news, unprofessional slackers who give a constant pass to the left's propaganda. So, I don't watch either. And now Armin's making me watch, and I am really not enjoying it. I'm really not enjoying it. And that was true yesterday, and it's even more true today. So I don't blame you. Like I don't find it very useful and very informative. So yeah, like.
But you just said we have to respond to it. That's why I'm playing it.
No, I agree. But the frustration is that, like, okay, so there's two things happening here. Like, one, okay, yeah, we should watch because here is an example of a political opponent who is I think extremely dangerous and showing competence. So yes, I think we should watch. But I'm just saying I'm really not enjoying it because I think that Fox News is doing a terrible job here. It's doing a terrible job, and I'm not really getting much value from this broadcast.
Well, we are getting value because you guys are demonstrating what you would have said if you were there, and that's that's the value.
Well,
right?
yeah, sure, yeah, but I mean, look, think about what you're saying. The implications of what you're saying is we have to watch all shitty media. We can't do that. Right, because there's so much shitty media, and it's just impossible to do. And I would just say, okay, yes, we're doing this analysis, and hopefully, we're getting value of it, and the audience is getting value from it, right? I hope that's the case. But if I'm just watching this, I'm getting very little value from it. I mean, what I'm saying is, if this is the type of information that Fox News is putting out, I'm really disappointed. But I'm not surprised, and it's for the reason that Hit Turbine mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Let me just go a little bit more forward with the Iran part.
Force.
So
and
we're not
anybody
any
that
more
goes
secure
near
than we were back then.
Okay, let's move on. You said getting rid of Sharia law was white supremacy. Let's roll the tape. Go.
I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
First of all, it's interesting. Every time we non-Muslims say Sharia law, Muslims make fun of them. We're like, oh, Sharia law, you don't know Sharia means law, so you're just saying law. Like, oh, you're so ignorant. You don't even know what Sharia means. What is Sharia law? You're just saying law twice. So I don't know why they do, like, I know it's but your own people are saying Abdullah is a Muslim and he's saying that. So why are you not making fun of him? Anyways, so Elisa, you did not hear that clip of him before saying.
I was trying to follow what he was saying. Can you play it again?
Okay, I'll play it again. But Amy is making a really good point, saying, why does he sound like Obama? He is trying to sound like Obama.
Because he's from the same school. He was trained by the exact same people and programs as Obama. That's why.
All right, let me play this one for you again.
I don't have to tell you that the same exact forces that drove native peoples from their land 2 centuries ago, destroyed Black Wall Street a century ago, bombed a building decades ago, and tried to ban Sharia law not a decade ago, that those forces are alive and well today.
I see what he's doing now. I see.
But the main point is, like, he's suggesting that banning Sharia law is a bad thing. Yeah. That's the main point.
Right. Yeah. The same forces. So he's saying that the same people who were racist, white supremacists, because they.
Okay. So Elisa, because we have only 4 minutes, I want to see how he defends. Yeah, just 1 second. Yeah.
Okay. So getting rid of Sharia laws, white supremacy. Can you explain that one?
Do you know what canon law is, Jesse? I assume you're Christian, right?
Oh my God! No, Jesse, no, Jesse, no! Don't tell him to tell you. Like, don't tell him not to answer your goddamn question. Why are you letting him get away? Oh my! Like, Jesse's like, tell me what? It's your show. Control your show. Why? Oh my God. Answer exactly. You say, people are saying answer the question. That's what Jesse should have said. Like, no, you answer my question. I am the host. I am the interviewer. You are the interviewee. You answer are we on your show? You're on my show. I ask the questions here. That's what you should say, Jesse. Oh my God. I'm so frustrated.
Triggered.
Oh my God.
Triggered.
Right. Anyways, we have to go now. Arash is giving us Arash 1 month of membership. Thank you for being a member here for 1 month. Saying the way Abdul pronounces Sharia is alarming enough. Yes, it's very Islamic. He's very with this pronunciation.
Thank you, Arash.
Anyways,
This is the only
Yeah,
clip
go
that I
on.
saw from the interview. I do think that Abdul did make himself look stupid with this whole canon law bit, but you are 1000% correct for calling out Jesse Waters, where he should have been like, no, answer the question. Answer the question. That is the only correct response. So yeah. Very good point.
Anyways, we have to go, but Sid, do you have it? But guys, before Sid makes his final point, if he has any, don't forget that in 1 hour. 1 hour, is it? In 1 hour? Yes. In 1 hour, we're going to have our group call. So the link is in the description. The link is in the QR code at the top left corner of your screen. Al will be there. You guys will be there too, Sid and Elisa?
I'm going to be there, yeah.
I will be there.
Awesome.
I want to talk about Palestine.
Palestine. Okay, I would be like, I'm really interested to see what you have to say. You know, it's interesting because I'm actually interested to see from a Christian perspective what you want to say. Like, it's really interested. So looking forward to that. So guys, and also we have on Liberty Politics, you could actually watch our discussion. If you're not going to come into our group discussion, you could just subscribe to Liberty Politics on YouTube and watch our discussion over there. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to Elisa. The link is in the description, and the Monkey and Guy and Ali. All the links to all the channels are in the description. Sid, any closing remarks before we go?
Yeah, maybe it would just quickly, guys, it's my second day here. But sorry, this is from Kala Kapult. Guys, my second day here. But why is this chat so fixated upon the Bible instead of law and policy? Genuine question. So I actually don't think that's true, Kala Kapult. Actually, we rarely talk about the Bible, but talking about the Bible is also interesting. So all of these things are interesting, and hopefully we can provide.
We are we're atheists, Christians, Jews, Hindus, deists. We're a very diverse group of people. So you might hear about the Bible, you might hear about everything. All of these perspectives, right? So we're a diverse group. All right, guys, we have only 5 seconds.
Quick.
I need to end the stream. No. I'm Israel Chai. Sorry, I'm Israel Chai. Slava Ukraine, Cuba Libre, Taiwan GIO, Long Live America, Javisha Payande Iran. Love you guys. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.